Okay, V'yinam Adonai Eloheinu aleinu ma'aseh adenu kol nina'anenu ma'aseh adenu kol neu. Going to continue in the shur in Shaare Orah. First, I'd like to dedicate the shur today to Nishmat Sarah Tziva bat Dover Ruach Adonai Tenechena Began Eden v'gam Nefesh Esther bat Victoria Reina Ruach Adonai Tenechena Began Eden v'gam Nefesh Chaya bat Rezel Yenta Ruach Adonai Tenechena Began Eden v'gam Nefesh Uri ben Hasiba Ruach Adonai Tenechena Began Eden. להבדיל בין המתים לחיים רפואה שמה for אסתר סימין בת שרפת אל נפל עלה, אל נפל עלה, אל נפל עלה, and also רפואה שמה for רבי יהודה בן שלמה, אל נפל עלו, אל נפל עלו, אל נפל עלו. Okay, we're in the Shaare Orah. We're on page Reish. Let's see, let's check where we are. What's the name of the what? Oh, Rabbi Gikatilia. Yosef Gikatilia. So we're on page Reish Mem Zayin in the book here, and we're on the bottom under the line Kof Ayin Hey. Dibur was Lo Zachu LeKabel Torah. I just want to correct something I said last time that I made a mistake on. We were discussing the concept of the Tefillah of Ashrei, or it's really, as it's called in the Gemara, it's called Tehillah David, because the Mizmor of the Tehillim starts as Tehillah David. It doesn't start as Ashrei. And the two Pesukim that are in the beginning of Ashrei, Ashrei Shaveh V'techa Od Yaruch Hasela, Ashrei Amshekach Alo, Ashrei Amshadun Maruav. They come from two different places. They come from two different Mizmorim of Tehillim. Okay. Let's see.
84.
Okay, the first one comes from chapter 84, verse number 5. And the second one comes from
144.
chapter 144, verse number 5. Okay? So they took these two verses from two different Mizmorim and brought them into the Tefillah and connected to the Tehillah David, which is the Ashrei Tefillah. Okay? I mistakenly said that those two Mizmorim make one Mizmor. It's not correct. Okay. Lo zachu lekabel Torah. They did not have the, and thank you for much for asking the question, forced me to look it up and learn something. Okay, lo zachu lekabel Torah. They did not have the zuhut to receive the Torah. Well, this is talking about here. Let's get in the context here. So if the Jewish people would not have accepted the brit of the basar, they would not have the merit to receive the Torah. Okay, which means no brit milah, they would not have had the merit to receive the Torah. Okay, let's see what it says here. Al yedei milah mitgale ha'atara. Through the milah, what happens? The atara, the crown, is exposed. Yes, that's the whole purpose of the milah, the cutting, and then the priya and the opening. Yes, shehi keneged hayod. That's the yod. The atara is like the yod. Now let me ask you a question: why would the atara, which represents the malchut, be like the yod? Malchut is generally hey. Why is the rabbi saying here that that's the yod? Two different letters.
Yud is the first expression of Yud Hey Vav, right? And the
Malchut is the catch of the bull.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. Very good. The malchut is the keter of the world below. So the fact that the malchut is represented by a yod is not so far-fetched. On top of that, let's look at the letter hey. The letter hey is really two letters, not one. What letters make up a letter hey? A dalet and a yod. So even the letter hey is really a dalet and a yud. Just like the letter aleph. The letter aleph is really a vav and two yod. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Got that? Okay. So we told the Brit Milah, the Atarashi connected the Yod, and that's the Chotemet. The Chotemet on a man's body is the Brit Milah. That's the signature, that's the sign of Hashem on the person. The Yod. The Yod specifically, the whole purpose represents Yud Kivavke. But it's the Yod, which is the highest of the letters, right? Again, this we're talking about the Yod. Shin Daled is for the rest of it, okay? Shin Daled Yud would be the member, right? The Yod is the Atara. That's the crown. Yes? And that's why it's such a severe, severe sin when a person takes the Brit Milah and puts it in a place that is inappropriate. The Zohar says you're taking the signature, you're taking the sign of Yud Ke Vav Ke, and you're putting it in a place that is inappropriate. Very, very severe. Obviously, Baruch Hashem, there's teshuvah, but the person should avoid any types of that type of behavior. And through the Brit Milah, the person has ha'arat to the neshama, has a shining to his neshama, and to the Orah of the Torah, which means without the Brit Milah, the person is closed off from understanding the Torah. V'lachen, katab b'tshuvot Rabbi Akiva Eger, and it's written in the law in the Tshuvos of Rabbi Akiva Eger. Siman Membet, shehayot ubli knisa lebrit lo zochim la Torah. So therefore, because of what we just learned here, without the knisa to the brit, without the entrance of the Brit Milah, a person does not have the zechut to have the Torah. Yesh hiyuv lamol livnei banim. There is a requirement to cause for the grandfather to circumcise his grandchildren. Let's understand that. From the din, who's responsible for circumcising the son? The father. Why would the grandfather be required to circumcise his grandson?
In absence of the father.
Why would the grandfather also be obligated to circumcise his grandson?
Also.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's what Rabbi Akiva Eger is saying. Rabbi Akiva is saying it's just like the father has a mitzvah to do Brit Milah. The grandfather also has a mitzvah to do Brit Milah on his grandson. Why? Just like there's a mitzvah for a grandfather to teach Torah to his grandson. And what did we just say? Since he has a mitzvah, how do we know a grandfather has to teach his grandson? Teach your sons to speak. To speak to who? To speak to their sons, yes? Also, we have another pasuk. Which means a child is entitled to ask his father the question, and a child is entitled to ask his grandfather the question. Grandfather, right? So we see there's a concept of 2 generations of requirement to teach Torah, support Torah for the grandchildren, yes? So that means grandparents who help their grandchildren with tuition for yeshiva, that's a mitzvah. There's no question about it. We understand from here, Rabbi Akiva Eger is learning that just like there's a mitzvah for me to teach Torah to my grandchildren, my grandsons, similarly, I have a mitzvah for Brit Milah for them. Why? Because if they don't have Brit Milah, they cannot learn. They can't receive the Torah. Uperush Baal HaTurim, and the Baal HaTurim explained, Al HaPasuk, Mi Yaleh Lanu HaShamayma. Right? Where it says over there in the Torah, who's going to go up to the Shemaim to get the Torah, right? Hu Rashi Tevot, Mi Yaleh Lanu HaShamayma. Baal HaTurim is always very, very good on Rashi Tevot, acrostics, and the gematria. That's his thing, yes? What does he say? Milah. Mi Yaleh Lanu HaShamayma. Rashi Tevot, Milah. Which means, what is the key to receive the Torah from the Shamayim? The Brit Milah. No Brit Milah, no Torah. Yes, what's your question?
You say Baal HaTurim, are you referring to the Russia's grandson?
Yes, son. I think it's Russia's son, not the grandson. Yes. Okay. The same person who wrote the Torah, right? Same author of the Abba Turim, the Baal HaTurim, same guy. Continuing on. The Sofet Tevot, and what about the Sofet Tevot? So you have Rashi Tevot Milah. What are the Sofet Tevot? Mi, Yod, Ya'aleh, Hey, Lanu, Vav, Hashamayma, Hey. So what do you see from here? Rashi Tevot is Milah. Sofet Tevot is Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. How does a person get to know Yud Ke Vav Ke? It's not enough just to believe. Learning Torah, very good. That's how a person gets to know Yud Kei Vav Kei, by learning Torah. Very good, 100%. Good. So the beginning of the word tells us what's the necessary piece for learning Torah. It's called milah. The end letters tell us how a person connects to Hashem. Brit milah through the Nahaz of Torah. Now he's able to connect to Hashem. Okay. When the person has a brit milah, what rests upon the person is the letters Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shua Orah Penimi Shel Torah, and the Orah Penimi, the Orah that's in the inside, is called Yud Kei Vav Kei. A little slow today. Orah Penimi. What's Orah Penimi? Penimi is inside, right? That's Penimi. There's Choser and there's Or Makif. Okay, I'm talking about in the Komat Adam. Yes, what is inside? You have the Tzinor. You have the Tzinor. What's inside? What's inside is the Or Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what is the Or that's Nit Pashet that comes out through the Sfirot. Yes, we good? Or Penimi. The Or that's inside is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay. Now we understand better from yesterday's parasha. What does it say? What did he throw into the water to make it sweet? What tree?
Tree of blood.
Etz Chaim hi lema hazikim ba. I left that out yesterday, but that's the Etz. The Etz is Etz Chaim. So when the water was bitter, Moshe Rabbeinu throws the Etz. That's why, what does Rashi say? Sham sam lo chok mishpat v'sham nisahu. He taught them certain parashot of the Torah. Meaning what? Yeluchu shloshit yamim v'lo matzu mayim. They went 3 days, they didn't find water. So then Moshe Rabbeinu established that the Jewish people would read Torah Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbat. Why? So that they should never go 3 days without Torah. Exactly. Chavad, Baruch Hashem. Okay. The pasuk. Im lo briti yamam balayla chukot shamayim va'aretz lo samti. If not for my brit yom and laila, there's only 2 brit that have a concept of night and day. Which brit has night and day? Which covenants are night and day?
The brit of the Kochavim.
Brit of the Kochavim. What are you talking about?
Made a deal with the sun and the moon.
Who made it? Oh, are you talking about? No, that's a drasha. No. What is a brit that's night and day? There's 2 of them. That the world is Torah.
Oh, you should learn in day.
Torah. V'agita ba yomam v'layla. That's a brit yom and night. And what else is a brit that's yom and night? Can't say it. Brit milah.
You don't do brit milah at night.
You don't have them brit milah at night, really?
People do brits at night.
That's not the question. That's not people do brit. First of all, you're allowed to do a brit milah at night. It's not the. Bayom, no, it's supposed to be in the day. Bayom HaShemini, it has to be in the day, okay? But let me ask you a question. Once the Brit Milah happens, you have it with you all the time?
Yeah, with you all the time.
There you go. So it's Briti Yomam V'Layla. So therefore, these 2 Brit are connected to each other. Brit and Torah. They're connected. They're intertwined. Person can't figure out why he's not able to absorb learning, why his learning is not good. What helps for a person for learning? Shmirat Brit. When a person's eyes are looking at things they're not supposed to be looking at, it interferes with their ability to learn Torah. Why? Because it's not being Shomer Brit. No, it has a negative spiritual impact on the person even after. Okay, so it's a very serious. That's why it's such a serious problem. Okay. Ne'emar gama brit milah v'gama brit shel Torah. So this concept of briti yomam v'layla is spoken about the brit of the Torah and the brit of the milah. Both of them are brit that are night and day, and that's why Moshe Rabbeinu says ha'azinu hashamayim la'adabera. Why? Because if the shamayim and the aretz are standing, what does that mean? The Jewish people are following both of them. Because if it's not for the Brit of Torah, it's not for the Brit of Milah, then there's no Chukot Shamayim Va'aretz, which means there's no physics. As long as physics is still working in the world, that means Jewish people are learning Torah and have Brit Milah. We're good with that? Paul must have missed that pasuk in Yirmiyah.
What about Newton? I thought you said Newton.
Why Newton?
It was just gravity. Physics. He's the founder of modern physics. No more gravity.
Wait, Newton
It's not
was
that there's gravity. in apples.
Newton was a religious man. He was not an atheist at all. No,
I thought
he believed in
against the
God.
church. Why did the church want to kick him out?
Because the
He was
church
Catholic.
didn't like
Catholic at that time.
they didn't have the brains to figure out how you can connect the two together. That's not saying something opposite.
That could be perceived as blasphemous because of that, according to their saying.
Well, they didn't like it, the fact that he said, Copernicus was the one who said that the Earth is around the sun. They didn't like that because they thought that the sun was around the Earth. They had a very narrow way of looking at things. Okay, so they weren't progressive thinkers to this day. Okay, let's see. And the reason is very simple. When a person has a Brit Milah, man has a Brit Milah, then he has Orah of the Neshama. If there's no Brit Milah, then there's no Orah of the Neshama. If there's no Orah of the Neshama, he has no ability to learn Torah. Okay? V'nishmat shadai tevinem. K'dei shi'ya'ir bo or ha'neshama shehi mibina tzarich la'asir ha'otem v'asitima shel ha'orlah. In order to have the light of the Orah of the Neshama exposed to come to the person, that comes from where? That comes from the Bina. Yes? Good. In order to do that, we have to remove the sitima of the Orlah. Because what does the Orlah do? It covers and prevents the exposure of the light. Shekol tosefet Torah ukdusha v'ruchaniyut talui b'vinyan kedusha be'olam ha'ma'aseh. Because any increase in Torah or holiness or spirituality in this world, it's tied to this world, olam ha'asiyah. That's why we're here. What's the difference in this world and the next world? There is no tosefet of Torah. Whatever you take with you when you leave is what you have. The tosefet is here in the world of the ma'aseh. Once a person gets to the world of the gemul, there's no increase. Well, you have what you have.
Don't we learn that there are academies in the next world?
They're academies, but they're studying what they already know.
They're studying what they know.
So is there just a review?
Yes. The other thing we have to remember is why is it that we don't know it so much? Why is it that it's hard to learn? We forget. Imagine for 1 minute, every piece of Torah you learn from the time you're a young child till now, you didn't forget. Wow. Wow. Incredible, right? You remember 10%. What about the 90%? You have to review it, yes? When did forgetting the Torah start?
Oh, the angel takes it away from you.
Okay, that's not forgetting. That's removing it, right? This way, and why is that done, by the way? Because it's easier to write on a cloth that was already written on than a cloth that's brand new. So the idea is you put the Torah into the child, you then erase it. Now it's easier to write it in again. But when the Jewish people on Har Sinai, they received the Torah, yes? There was no forgetting. When did forgetfulness start?
Well, Moshe forgot the halacha.
When did forgetfulness start?
You know, Sofhat?
Okay, is that the first time we have forgetfulness? He gave Mosov Chad. That's before Bet HaMikdash. Where is the beginning of Shicha of the Torah? El Elohecha Yisrael shehelucha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Heta Egel. By Heta Egel, when they did the Heta Egel, that's what brought Shicha to the world. That means before Heta Egel, there was no forgetting of the Torah that one learned. Could it? That was in the Zohar yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, from Parashat Beshalach. Okay.
You're saying that was like an after effect of.
It's one of the side effects, one of the adverse effects of Chet HaEgel was forgetting.
Forgetting in general or just Torah?
No, Torah. Okay. How's that symbolized?
Are the crowns getting?
No. Crown? Yeah, maybe. I could hear that. How's that symbolized without crowns? How's that symbolized? What's the difference between the first luchot and the second luchot?
One, the first one did have the last 5 letters.
It had the last 5. It didn't have the Sofit letters. It had the last 5 letters, but they were not in Sofit forms, correct?
The second, there were the Sofit letters.
Good. Okay, what else?
You could see on either side, you could see it.
Both of them are like that. Both of them are like that.
One is made by Hashem, one is made by.
Can we be more specific? The first one, the carving of the letters and the carving of the stones off of the mountain was done by God. On the second one, the writing of the words on the luchot was done by God, but the carving of the luchot out of the mountain was done by Moses. That represents the concept of shicha. Because how does a person remember something? Only one way. Repeat over and over and over again. If a person has a photographic memory, they don't have to repeat anything. They read it once, they remember it forever. That's luchot rishonot. That's represented by God carving them out of the mountain as well. We have to carve it out of the mountain now. What does that mean? That means there has to be amel, there has to be toil. What's the toil of learning Torah? Chazara. It's not fun. I just learned it. No, you have to learn it again and again.
Well, that's how you exercise your muscles.
Correct. That's repetition. We talked about that yesterday. Resistance training, right? That's resistance training. It's through repetition, called reps in exercise.
That's what I recorded. And I do every 20 minutes. I listen to it.
There you go. All right. So,
And I still don't remember.
but that's only necessary now because of Chet HaEgel. If it wasn't for Chet HaEgel, there would be no shicha of the Torah.
No need to repeat.
No, you wouldn't repeat it. You remembered the first time you heard it. That's a little concept that we have that the rabbi mentioned yesterday, who spoke in the morning, that the Tanakh talks about lev even and lev basar. Lev even, it's a heart of stone. In order to carve something on stone, you have to work very hard. In order to carve something into flesh, you don't have to work that hard, correct? So that's the same idea. Lev even is a heart that is stubborn and doesn't want to accept and repeat and remember what it's learned. Lev basar means it's easily impressionable and it's going to remember it forever. That's the difference. Okay. Ve'im lemata be'olomot hatachtonim en brit shel kedusha v'siluk hara. If in the lower worlds there is no removal of the orlah, there is no kedusha, then what happens? Mistaleket hashpa'a milmala shel kedushat Torah. So the kedusha of the Torah has no place to come down, so it stays in the shamayim. Now look at the beauty of the Baal HaTurim. What pasuk did he pick to make his drasha on? Mi ya'alelanu hashamayma. Who's going to go up to the shamayim to get it? Meaning the Torah is in the shamayim. What allows the Torah to come from the shamayim to the aretz? Brit milah. Shmirat habrit. That allows the Torah to come from the shamayim to the aretz. Otherwise, it's in the shamayim. So it's not just stam. He did it from that pasuk. That pasuk is exactly, the answer is, Mi ya'alelanu hashamayma? Yes. It's in Dvarim. It's in, hold on. I think it's in Parashat Vayelech, but don't quote me on that one. Chapter 30, verse number 12. So why in that pasuk? Because it's the answer. Mi yalenu lanu hashamayma? The answer is the Brit Milah. The person who has a Brit Milah can go up to the Shamayim and receive the Torah. No Brit Milah cannot receive the Torah from the Shamayim. Yes?
So why didn't everyone go?
Okay, this is figurative. This is not, you're looking for,
Metaphoric.
this is metaphoric. In order for the Torah to come to a human being, they have to have a Brit Milah. No Brit Milah, the Torah stays in the Shamayim. It does not come and rest in the person.
4 weeks ago, you said that the Brit Milah is the gift we give back after the gifts, the three Brit
The Orlah is what we give back. Correct. That's what we give back. Exactly.
Or by burying it?
What's that?
By burying it.
By removing it
Yes.
So
and
you're-
burying it. Right. And that's why it's such a tremendous sin to be Moshech Orlato. What is Moshech Orlato? That he pulls the Orlah down, which means he wants to cover. That means he wants to be like Goy.
An Arel.
A Goy.
Like the Arelim?
Yes. This is nicht good. Okay.
Hide it.
What's that?
You can't hide it. It's either you have the flesh or you don't have the flesh.
There's a concept in the Talmud of Moshech Orlato, that he pulls his Orlah
To try to make him.
to try to show that he has no Brit Milah. Now maybe that's figurative. I don't know how you would do that if it's cut off, but maybe it's figurative. What would be Moshech Orlato? That means the person acts and behaves like a goy.
Like an Amar.
Not an Amaretz. Amaretz is still a Jew. He may be ignoramus, but he's still a Jew. Acts and behaves like a goy. That's called Moshech Orlato. What makes a Jew a Jew? We said, first of all, born of a Jewish woman. Yes, but there's another step. What's the other step? How do we show that? A girl is born, what happens? You give her a name right away. Boy, you don't give name. Wait till Brit Milah, which means until he has Brit Milah, he's
Like
doesn't
he's
have a
limbo.
neshama.
He's in limbo.
Doesn't have a neshama. He has ruach, and he has nefesh. Who else has ruach and nefesh?
Go.
Guy.
Here we go.
I'm not going to say he's a guy. He's born of a Jewish mother. From a halakhic point of view, he's considered to be a Jew. But a Jew that doesn't have Brit Milah is behaving is like a guy.
Oh, is he allowed to eat tevo? Can you feed a baby tevo under 8 days?
I know about Tevel, but he can't eat Korban Pesach.
Right.
And what's the problem with not eating Korban Pesach?
Well, it says clearly you have to be circumcised to eat the korban.
And what happens if a person doesn't eat Korban Pesach?
Karet. It's a karet.
Oh my gosh, look at that. What does karet mean? Cut off from the Jewish nation. There's returning. You do Brit Milah, that fixes it. Yeah, you do Teshuvah. Baruch Hashem, you do Teshuvah. The Teshuvah for a person who doesn't have Brit Milah, to do Brit Milah. I knew a Mohel. He had privileges at one of the big hospitals in Brooklyn. And many of the Russians who came over in the 70s and 80s and 90s didn't have Brit Milah. They completely knew nothing about religion whatsoever. And then somehow along their travels, they found out, oh my God, there's something called the Jewish religion. They started going to Bet Knesset. And somehow they learned that they don't have a Brit Milah. So he would take them to the hospital and circumcise 60, 70, 80-year-old men with anesthesia. It's not small procedure, okay? So, yeah, because that's the tikkun, the fixing it. The halacha, what if a person's father doesn't do a Brit Milah for him? When he's 13 years old, what does he have to do? He's got to do a Brit Milah himself. He can't say, oh, my dad didn't do it, so, I'm putter. You're not putter. That's right. We're a religion of responsibility, unlike America. Religion of accountability and responsibility. There's no rights. There's only mitzvot. I gave a class about that once. The Torah is not built on rights. It's not. What does it say? You have a right. What's the right?
You have a right to your land if you're part of that tribe.
There's a mitzvah. It's not a right. Why am I have a mitzvah if I'm from a shevet to Yeshuva Aretz? That's my mitzvah. Therefore, it's my land, not yours. Yes. Rights take away the fact that God runs the world. It's all His.
So all of those who are entitled.
Whereas a mitzvah means I have an obligation. Well, it's not that you have a right to your property. I have a mitzvah not to steal your property. Now, I will say that an absence of a Torah system, which of course the Gentiles have no clue how to have a Torah system, then the rights is probably the second best you can get to. I would say this is the closest system that works versus other systems, the system of rights, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
But that's not the Torah's way. The Torah's way is you have obligations. There's no rights, you have obligations. It's not a free country.
all of those who are entitled to a lot of things they are not.
That's the reason why we have entitlement, because you have rights. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to this. No, you're not entitled to anything. You're entitled. You have obligations. What are your obligations? Anyway, I give class on that. Now, if you go on YouTube, there's probably some of them. If you listen to some of the older ones, I used to talk about that a lot, especially when the Dems are in power. Okay, so let's go on. Kof Ayin Vav. Piriyah lo nitna la'Avram Avinu. Ooh, let's talk about that. So we have the concept of Priyah was not given to Avram Avinu that we discussed over here. Uben Eser Etzbol Regal. Okay. V'im Tomar Priyah lo nitna la'Avram Avinu. You might want to say that Priyah was not given to Avram Avinu. So now the rabbi at the bottom is going to discuss what's this whole concept that Avraham Avinu was not given the mitzvah of Priyah according to some opinions. Ita b'Yevamot. It says in Masechet Yevamot, Ayin Aleph Amud Bet. Amar Abba Bar Bar Yitzchak Amar Rav. Lo nitna priyat milah leAvraham Avinu. Priyat milah, which means the concept of exposing the milah, was not given to Avraham Avinu. Shene'emar ba'eta hi amar Hashem Yoshua aseh lecha horvot surim. We have in Yoshua, what in that time it told Yoshua to what happened with the Jewish people in the Midbar? They didn't do milah. Why not?
You're not exactly mobile right after a Brit Milah.
You're traveling.
Right. You can't.
A person who's traveling is patur from Brit Milah. Okay, but they didn't travel all the time. There's some places they stayed for 19 years. Not 19 years, for a long time.
How are they to know when they're going to be called?
That's the point. It's not like they had God gave them a schedule and said, okay, by the way, on September 4th. No, they wake up in the morning. The Anam will lift up. Okay, it's time to. Oh, I just did my Brit Milah yesterday. Well, I'm sorry, buddy. We got to leave you behind. Doesn't work. So because the whole idea, Al Pi Hashem Yahanu, Al Pi Hashem Nasau, everything in the Midbar was Al Pi Hashem. We have no idea. We're gonna learn over the next couple of months, and certainly in Sefer B'Midbar, about all the mistakes of the people in the Midbar. Do we have any idea how these people lived? They didn't know the next day whether they're traveling or not. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, a week before I'm traveling, what I got to make sure I got my tickets, got to get to the airport ahead of time, all these things, right? They had no idea. They'd wake up in the morning and the cloud goes up, time to go. That's one. Number two, food. Did anybody have a bank account in the desert? Insurance policies.
Everything was
day to day. Davar yom biyomo. You wake up in the morning, your food is there, you go get it, you take just enough for the day, then you go home. If you took too much, it became worms. We read that in Parashat Haman. And then the next day you go out again. And if you didn't behave so good the day before, the day you are, you have to go further out to get the man. Oh, you look at that. He must have done something wrong over there. What's he going all the way out? His man didn't fall on his doorstep this time. I wonder what he did yesterday. I mean, you imagine living like that? No bank account, no health, no insurance, nothing. Every day, Al Pi Hashem.
And they still didn't trust him.
Again, I don't know how we would do in that type of environment. So let's be mindful of the fact that Dora Midbar, these are holy people. They made mistakes, just like we make mistakes. But these are holy people. They live with God in a way that we have no clue. Okay. Ubiera ben. So therefore, the entire time they were in the desert traveling, they did not do Brit Milah.
So how did they eat Korban Pesach?
They didn't.
What did they do?
How many Korban Pesach did they do in the Midbar?
One.
2. No, correct. 1. They did 1 before they left Egypt, and then did 1 in the first year, second year,
Well, after the Miluim, right?
after the Miluim, right?
Some places do it.
Because we have the concept of Pesach Sheni, right? But that's before
The spies?
they're traveling. They get to Har Sinai. They receive the Torah. How long did they stay at Har Sinai? A year plus. They stayed at Har Sinai from Sivan all the way until Iyar of the next year.
That's first.
So therefore, the first Korban Pesach they did in Nisan in Mitzrayim. Yes? The second Korban Pesach they do in Parashat Naso, if I'm not mistaken. Naso? Or maybe it's Ba'alotecha. Which means what's in the first couple of months of the second year. And then Nosi'im Anachnu. And then Yitro leaves them. Yitro is going to come to us next week. And when he leaves them, Yitro Nosi'im Anachnu, all the trouble starts.
And then they stopped doing Korban.
B'halotecha. And then they weren't doing Brit Milah because they had the Chet HaEgel, they first had Mishmir Miriam, Lashon Orah, they had the Chet HaMeraglim. And from that point on, now they're going to be traveling for 38 years in the desert. So therefore, they didn't do Brit Milah. What? In Nisan of the second year. Yes. Once they were traveling, there's no Korban Pesach. They weren't supposed to be traveling for 38 years.
But the people that were already born were circumcised. The new babies, the new generation.
Okay, first of all, where did they get circumcised?
Yeah. They're already alive.
In Egypt. They got
Korban
circumcised
Pesach
in
number
Egypt.
Korban Pesach number 2. They're able to do Korban
They were
Pesach number 3.
they were getting circumcised. But they didn't do Korban Pesach the entire time in the Midbar, other than the first time.
Some people not get circumcised. Why didn't that?
Nobody, only Levi circumcised in Egypt.
Why only Levi?
Because they were working. You know, you got to be at work the next day. You can't exactly there's no disability. I'm going to take 3 days PTO. Excuse me, Egypt. I have to take a couple of days off. I need to do a Brit Milah. Oh, really? No, I don't think so. So in Egypt, they didn't circumcise except for Levi. Why was Levi able to circumcise? They didn't have to work. That's exactly right. Okay. All right, let's continue on. So Avraham Avinu, it says, did not need priyah. The priyah is a tikkun of the midah of the malchut. How do we know that? What part of the human body is it affecting? The end, right? Which is the malchut. Yes? So the priyah is the tikkun of the midah of the malchut. V'hi'ayta midah shel Avraham. And Avraham has the midah of malchut, so he did not need the tikkun. Kedeita, like it says in Masechet Brachot. Miyom shebara kadosh baruch hu. Oh, this is amazing. Miyom shebara kadosh baruch hu et olam. From the time God created the world, lo haya adam shekara'o le'akadosh baruch hu adon ad sheba Avraham Avinu ve'kara'u adon. For the entire 2,000 years of history, no one called God Adon. Who was the first person to call Adon, God Adon? Avraham. What word did he use? Adonai. What is that? We learned this already. Malchut. So Avraham already represented the midah of Malchut because he used the name Adon. So therefore he didn't need Priya. Correct?
But why isn't he chesed too?
He's Ish Chesed, but it's also Malchut. What was Abraham's job? Which means he did, what did he do? He exposed. He had the truth, and then he exposed the truth. That's called Malchut. Okay? Therefore, he didn't need the exposure of the Brit Milah. It's called the Priya. Huh? Pay. Priyas are the pay. Okay. The katav sham Tosafot, and over there the Tosafot write, Shekol brachat tzricha haskarat malchut. Oh, look at that. Tosafot. They're writing every bracha has to have a memory of malchut. You have to mention malchut. Why is that? Don't think the Rishonim didn't know no Kabbalah just because they didn't write about it. Okay? Ubi bracha rishona magen Avraham. And the first bracha magen Avraham, he has karat malchut. It's the beginning. It's called malchut. Why? Magen Avraham. What is Avraham? Malchut. Why don't we say magen Yitzchak? Why don't we say magen Yaakov? Well, we say magen David. Why not? Because Avraham represents Malchut, just like David HaMelech represents Malchut. So therefore, Magen Avraham, Magen David.
And Yitzchak and Yaakov do not represent Malchut.
Nope. Nope. Correct. So the midah of Avraham Avinu is what? Hazkarat Malchut. To mention Malchut. Ayen lekaman shekatav Rabbeinu delechen hapriyashi tikun hamalchut yichola d'chot Shabbat. Oh wow! Why is it that the priya is also doche Shabbat? When you do a brit milah, you do a cut. The cut part is called yimol. How do we know that's doche? How do we know that brit milah is doche Shabbat? How do we learn that? How do we learn that a brit milah that's due on Shabbat on time is pushed? Shabbat is pushed. You can't do surgery on Shabbat unless it's pikuach nefesh. Why can't you wait till Sunday? Where do we learn from the Torah that a brit milah is doche Shabbat? Come on, boys. Man, we gotta know this. Ubayom hashemini yimol besar orlato. Whatever is the 8th day, if it happens to be Shabbat, yimol besar orlato. The Torah doesn't give a distinction except on Shabbat. So whenever the 8th day falls, it's do brit milah. So from here we learn is brit milah is doche Shabbat. But what about the priya? Okay, from a Peshat point of view, you're right. But now let's talk Sod. Why is the priya also doche Shabbat? You're doing melacha when you're doing the priya. Because they're bleeding, you're making the bleeding worse.
Not like connected to the original act, though? No?
Why? Shekatav Rabbanan shelachen hapriya shehi tikun hamalchut yechola lidchot Shabbat shehi tikun hamalchut. It's the same midah. What is the purpose of Shabbat? Tikun malchut. What is the purpose of priya? Tikud malchut. Therefore, it could push aside the Shabbat because it's the same midah. From a soul point of view.
Example, but would there not be other examples of that?
I'm all ears. What other examples?
I'm not saying I have one in mind, but is there? If not.
Example of what? That would push Shabbat.
But that wouldn't be.
Work in the temple.
The 30.
All work in the temple is doche Shabbat. Right? Certainly anything that's, all the mitzvot, the korbanot, that's all doche Shabbat. Why? That's tikkun malchut. Building the temple is not doche Shabbat.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Mishkan, it couldn't work.
No, that's not doche Shabbat.
But the service in the temple.
The service in the temple is doche Shabbat. That's why you can't build the Bet Knesset on Shabbat. It seems like a pshita. Be surprised what Bet Knesset that was built on Shabbat has a root that is rotten. Oh, I'm just the workers. They're coming every day. Why can't they come Shabbat? It's concluded inside. No.
And they're not even Jewish workers.
And they're not Jewish. If they're Jewish workers, of course. They're not Jewish workers. No, you don't build Bet Knesset on Shabbat.
Wait, non-Jewish worker. That comes and does construction on Shabbat,
You
don't
have
tell
to
them.
send him home.
You don't tell him. And it's not before
You
because they
send
come
him
in unmarked
home.
cars.
You send him home. Okay, I'll give you another halakha.
We did
This
Mishnah
people
Berurah.
don't know, okay? If I have a property in the middle of nowhere, full of Gentiles there, okay, I'm allowed to hire a contractor to do work. I'm not going to tell him to work on Shabbat, but if he wants to finish it on his own and within 7 days or 14 days, his schedule, he can work on Shabbat, right? What if my house is on Montoya Circle?
That's
Not allowed.
because it's Befar Hesia. People are going to see. So it's
A Bet Knesset is not being built in the middle, unless it's a Chabad. It's not being built in the middle of nowhere. It's generally being built with his Jews around. So Bet Knesset is automatically as the concept of Farhesia. What makes it? Okay, let's go back. What makes Montoya Circle a Jewish community? This building right here. If it's not for this building, what's Montoya Circle? It's a neighborhood. It's nothing. I prove it to you. Go from Montoya Circle and go all the way to Cliffmore Boulevard or go to whatever. You see nice communities over there, and what happens? There's no Kedusha there. Why? There's no Bet Knesset. So Bet Knesset establishes Paresia. Okay, so therefore, Bet Knesset, you can't build on Shabbat, and if you have a house and that house is in the Jewish community, you have to send the workers home. You say you cannot work on Shabbat. You're not allowed to be here. And trust me, I've seen houses built on Shabbat across the street from me in places. It's not appropriate.
Even if it's an unmarked car, even if it's
As long as it's in a Jewish community, you're not allowed to do construction on Shabbat. Period. Done.
Can I fact check you in the Mishnah Berurah?
You go check me, fact check me. Go right ahead.
Later. It's
You go fact check me. In the Jewish community.
I remember there's some kind of exception.
First, the Mishnah Berurah does mention unmarked cars. He would mention unmarked horses and buggies.
Unmarked carriage.
Okay,
So it's like
you find it.
a little bit. It's not like you're saying I'm doing instruction. It's like they come, but you didn't advise
It's
them.
in the community.
And it looks
Okay, you have a
Oh, this is it.
gardener.
The car parks far away, and then they bring the tools like kind of undercover, and it's not so apparent.
Oh, and the noise is undercover too. What do they have, like silencers on their
They don't have
saws?
silencers.
No, it's not allowed.
No, I know it's wrong, but I thought
All right, if you find fact check me, let me know. I'm more than happy to recant.
But if
I
it's,
think you're right.
if it's as a contract, if the contractor is a Jew and it's outside of
If the contract is a Jew, the contract has to say you will not work on Shabbat.
and his employees are non-Jews and they have a set
He's
amount of
okay. So
time,
who's doing the work? His
outside-
employees are working.
Yeah, and it's outside of what's
First of all, it's very unusual if you're outside the yeshuv, outside the Jewish community, that the contractor is going to be a Jew. The contractor is going to be a Gentile, and he's going to hire Gentiles. Yes.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You're hiring
So in that
Gentiles.
situation, if it's the middle of Kentucky and it's not in a Jewish community, you have a property over there. You're not allowed to tell them you can work on Shabbat, but you can say, "Can you get this done in 10 days?" Right? And they're allowed to work on Shabbat if they want. Okay. They're doing it for their benefit, not for mine. But the exception is if it's in the community. Okay. Okay, let's go to the top. Back in the Shaare Orah. Nimtzeta lamed ki shalosh minei britem. So we've learned now that there are 3 types of brit. What are 3 types of brit? Ha'echad brit halashon. Shu brit hapeh. That's the covenant of the mouth. Shehu brit Torah. Shehu brit olam. Shehu brit habinah. That's the mouth. So the mouth is brit hapeh, brit halashon, brit Torah, brit olam, and brit habinah. So those are all terms that are equivalent to brit halashon. Good. Next, the Hasheni, shehu brit milah, shehu brit basar, shehu brit hakeshet, shehu brit hashabbat. Now see the keshet. That's good. That was a sneaky one. I didn't see that coming. The keshet is the rainbow.
That's perfect for today.
Oh my gosh! I mean, Rabbi Gikatilia. Oh my gosh! Do you realize, Rabbi 1263? You realize your vision is 800 years in the future to craziness going on in the Western civilization. Rainbow. That means chop it off. No problem. It's okay. That's what happens. There are rights and no obligations. Not following. Okay, yeah.
The breed of the rainbow. Okay, so we know that mankind sinned, Hashem did what he did, and then he said, "This is my sign. I'm not going to do the flood again." Where's the breed?
Okay. First of all, it's called brit.
Yeah.
In the Torah, it's called the brit. I think what he's going to say, he discussed this a little bit before, but let's remind that. When if a man is having relations, it's called Yoreh Kachetz. In halakhic language, he shoots an arrow. If a man is having relations and he's not able to shoot like an arrow, he can't have children. That's from, again, I'm not going to say medically correct, not correct. It's not a medical class, right? Yoreh Kachetz, which means the concept of a man, when they have relations, it's called Yoreh Kachetz. Meaning what? The chimum that happens when a person's engaging in the relations is like pulling, it's like the potential, right? You're pulling on the wire. And then what happens? Then there's the release. Boom, that arrow goes. That we're describing, that's the keshet. The keshet is this. Got it? You don't get it. You're not following?
Not 100%. I mean, so it's a keshet. So it's like, you mean,
A keshet is a bow.
It's like an arc. I mean,
It's a bow.
That's when you're pulling it back.
I have an arrow. I want to shoot the arrow. What do? I retract the bow and shoot the arrow. So the analogy here is the imagination and the kishui and all that direction is considered to be pulling the bow. And then the release is the arrow going out. And that's why it's probably no coincidence that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, this is not politically correct, so forgive me, chatati aviti pashati, but if I'm quoting the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I don't have to be politically correct. Why is there homosexuality?
Why there is? Well, that's a heavy one.
You know this one? It's based on what we just said, it's very clear.
Is this in a sikha? Or is this one of the
I
recordings?
don't remember where I saw it, heard. And if you want to fact check me on that one, good luck. You have to go look at hundreds and thousands of letters.
I don't. Oh, yeah.
It's because a man becomes bored with women. It's not that they're not attracted to men. It's that they're so, it's not that they're not attracted to women. It's that they're so involved in the tum'ah of relations that the woman is not sufficient. And you see this in the Torah. How does the Torah word homosexuality? Ve'tzachar lo tishkav mishkeve isha. The man, you shall not sleep with him like you do a woman. What's that talking about? Mishkeve. What is mishkeve? Plural. Which means, I'm not going to give everybody an education class here, but regarding women, there are two places where they can be mishkav. There's the normal place, and there's shelo kedarka. I'm not talking halakha permission if all that kind of back door. Not talking halakha permission. Let's go on there. But you understand, there's idea of bia kedarka, bia shelo kedarka. One of the opinions of relations that's not kedarka is what? From the back. Ve'et zachar lo tishkav mishkeve isha. Which it says because the zachar doesn't have one hole. He's missing one of the holes. He's got the other one. Therefore, that's why the Torah words it mishkeve isha. I mean, just under the pella. So what is the Rebbe saying? The keshet, you're so involved in potentiating that ever it becomes bored of women. It's godless. Fits the pasuk, fits what we're talking about here. Interesting, huh? And listen, it's supposed to be certain excitement in relations, but when the person's all about excitement, then it becomes a problem. If it's all about the keshet, then it becomes a problem. That's why it's no coincidence that their symbol is the rainbow.
So the antidote to that would be
It's a Pella. That's what I'm saying. The rabbi here 800 years ago is telling us what the symbol of these people are going to be in the future. It's the keshet. 1263. Almost 800 years ago.
bow, and they're more all about the color scheme, how we accept any color you want.
That's not. Yeah, that's the outside. But on the inside, why is it represented by a keshet? Potentiation. First of all, as much as there are, we got to be careful about saying this. Maybe I shouldn't say it on YouTube. I shouldn't say it on YouTube. It's not related to the class. Leave it alone. Yes.
So what you're saying is that they're appropriating the intention behind the brief keshet.
They're focusing on the excitement. And when you become so focused on the excitement, you become bored of women. What is excitement? It's doing something that's different, something that's unique. Okay, if you've had so many women, then okay, I've seen all the women. Now what's left? Oh, men. That's the idea. And that's why it's represented by Brit HaKeshet. Proper milah is understanding that keshet is necessary to be Orah Kachetz, but not to abuse it. Answer your question? Shubrit Shabbat. Ubetoch shtei britot elu nechezet brit aleph daled nun yud. And within these two brit is the brit of aleph daled nun yud. Shehu brit Torah shebe'al peh. Is the brit of the Torah shebe'al peh. Shehu brit ha-pri'ah. We're going to have to look on the bottom. I'll explain it. This is the pri'ah. Think about it. Sefer Torah. Yes? That's like the milah. When you write Sefer Torah, what do you have to do? You have to make lines. Right? You have to cut lines in the cloth. If there's no lines in the cloth, pasul. Yes.
They etch it out with like
Open up
can use
Sefer
the
Torah.
I've seen them, but I didn't.
Again, it's like it's college ruled, but not with ink. It's college ruled with a knife. Okay, so you understand in writing a Sefer Torah, the parchment has to be cut. That's why Sefer Torah, the Torah Shebichtav, represents the Brit Milah. The Priya represents the Torah Shebi'al Peh. Because the Sefer Torah, okay, is only as good as what a Chachamim tell us of what's written inside. Moshe Rabbeinu was given the Torah, and he was also given the explanation. Minus the explanation, you cannot live as a Jew. You could have 100 religions, but you can't live as a Jew. I mean, think about it. We have 2.8 billion people that look at the words of the Bible as the words of God and come to completely ridiculous and wrong conclusions about that.
You
Always qualify that, okay? Whereas we have Ruach Chachamim. We have the Chachamim who tell us, who explain to us. And the Chachamim, what, they're pulling it out of their hat? They're like rabbits pulling it out of the hat? This is Moshe received the proper explanation of the Torah on Sinai. If it's not from Sinai, it's not a proper explanation of the Torah, period. Even if you have a rabbi that comes with a chidush 100, 200, 1,000 years later, Moshe Rabbeinu still had that chidush on Sinai. There is no aspect of the Torah Moshe Rabbeinu did not know. So therefore, if I come up with an explanation that is new and unique,
just a chiddush for us.
okay, it's not. First of all, it has to be within the acceptable ground. There are explanations that are acceptable, and there are ones that are not. I remember once I was in a synagogue, and someone gets up and says a speech about really the victim between Yaakov and Esav was Esav.
The victim.
The victim. That guy, Rasha! It's against what the Chachamim say. You want to come up with a brand new idea? Okay, that's Christianity. Don't worry about it.
Doesn't sound too legit.
Gotta watch out for the lefties, okay? You have to be very careful who you let speak. Okay? Yeah, church would give you tremendous agbat nefesh. You have no idea. So I had to get to that. I had to get up the next week because we would alternate, and I had to correct what he said. And I was not gentle.
The attorney for Esau.
I was not gentle at all. You're gonna get him to speak like that. You're opening yourself up. You're opening yourself up for public criticism. Well, I didn't criticize him as a person. I criticized the nonsense that came out of his mouth.
How did he take it?
He didn't like it.
Thought he was a genius.
Oh, anybody? He's got his papers. He had his papers from the internet. Okay. Oh, they have all these wonderful. Listen. There's good stuff on the internet, and there's garbage on the internet. And I knew you, just because it comes from a quote unquote yeshiva doesn't mean it's not garbage. There is the way of the Chachamim. If you're off that reservation, you're off the reservation. Now, if you're going to say something different than the Chachamim say, you better bring another Chacham who agrees with you, and not a quasi Chacham, not like a Chacham be'enav, like today. You have to go back. That's why if you look, when I teach, what am I quoting? Rashi, Ramban, Rav Dessler, Zohar, Talmud. How many times do you ever hear me say, again, I'm not going to say there aren't wonderful divrei Torah from modern rabbis. There are wonderful divrei Torah from modern rabbis. I never speak about that. You want to find wonderful divrei Torah modern rabbis? You go on the internet. It's right there. I'm not here to bring you what the modern rabbis are saying. I'm here to bring you what the old timers are saying. Old timers, good. I sleep well. If I quote the Ramban, I'm sleeping well. If I quote Rashi, I'm sleeping well. If I quote what the Talmud says, I'm sleeping well. I quote someone who's, I'm not sleeping so well. I don't know. Is he right? Is he wrong? I don't know. Now, if he's quoting other people, that's different. But brand new ideas out of the hat, here we go. Wow, Esav is the victim? Rasha. He's called his last name, Esav. What's his last name? Harasha. What more do you need to know? So, and unfortunately, the less there is, if we're coming on Purim in another month, yes? If you want to make a grogger, right? What do? Remember when you were a kid, you made a grogger? What do? You take two pieces of plate. You take two paper plates. You get some beans. You put some beans inside the paper plates. You staple it shut, and it makes noise. Now let me make a different grogger. I take the same two paper plates and I fill the entire plate up with beans, and I staple it closed. How much noise is it going to make? Zero. In order for the thing to make noise, it can't be full of beans. If it's full of beans, it doesn't make any noise. The goal when a person is teaching Torah is not to make noise. I'm not here to tell you my ideas about anything. I'm here to tell you what the rabbis are saying. If I'm conveying what the rabbis are saying in a way that's understandable, that's my job. I'm not here to make noise. Oh, let me tell you about this brand new idea I just thought of. Unless I can find sources that agree with what I'm saying, what is that? That's the grogger so a grogger that's full of beans, I don't know if I'm full of beans, a grogger that's completely full doesn't have to make noise. But a grogger that's half empty makes a lot of noise. We're not interested in noise. We're interested in what do the Chachamim tell us. We have a pasuk. What is the Chachamim coming to teach us here? don't start with modern guys until you've already read Seforno, you've read Ibn Ezra, you've read Rashi. I mean, what is this? You first go, Ramban, one of the greatest rabbis in the past 1,000 years. When he writes his Perush, what does he start with? Rashi. And he'll say where he agrees or disagrees with Rashi. He'll bring in, he often doesn't disagree with Rashi. He disagrees a lot with Ibn Ezra. He'll bring Rashi, and he'll bring Ibn Ezra. Well, if that's good enough for the Ramban, that's good enough for me. Except Baruch Hashem, I have the ability to bring the Ramban and the Orah Chaim. I have other people. Why are we going? People look for the sensationalism. Oh, I got this great idea. What is this? Go to the original sources.
We're at Tzitz Eliezer.
That's the Shelot and Shuvot. That's not Drashot. That's Shelot and
Modern
Shuvot.
is good. Wasserman.
That's Shelot and Shuvot. That's different. There you have to ask a rabbi in your time. You can't ask I can't go to the Ramban and say, Ramban, can you tell me whether or not I'm permitted to give a kidney? You can't ask that question because there's no such thing as kidney transplants in the time of the Ramban. So you have to ask modern rabbis. You have to ask them halakhic questions. But when talking about drashot, I'm not interested until we got a good handle on what the ancient guys have to say. And that's why my favorite book, if you see when I'm giving my classes on Shabbat, what book am I using? If I'm looking at a book, Torah Tmima. Torah Tmima. Now, what makes Torah Tmima an amazing book? What he does is he takes the parasha.
Who wrote that?
Rav Epstein. His name was Baruch Halevi Epstein. He was killed in the Holocaust. His father was the Posek Hador for the Ashkenazim before the Chafetz Chaim. His name is Michal Epstein, right? He was the Aruch HaShulchan, an amazing sefer. One of my favorite sefarim. When you want to learn halakha, Aruch HaShulchan is amazing. He basically styled it after the Rambam. What the Rambam does, he brings it in order. And then interesting to the Rambam, he brings the Tosafot. The Rambam couldn't bring the Tosafot because they were contemporaries. He brings the Tosafot, he brings other Rishonim, he brings Achronim. It's an amazing sefer. You want to look at halakha, that's quick and dirty, that's the place to go, Aruch HaShulchan. And he's got some very unique opinions because he was a pulpit rabbi. That's Psak Halakha, that's different. But, so Baruch Halevi Epstein realized there was a disconnection between the written Torah and the oral Torah. What's the disconnection? We read the parasha every single week. The Talmud is full of statements regarding what the parasha says. How do you find that? Well, nowadays, it's easy. You Google it. Doesn't work on Shabbat, though. But, what 100 years ago, you had to be a massive Talmid Chacham in order to know, I know where this pasuk is in Masechet Eruvin. How are you going to know that? Baruch Halevi Epstein did the work for us. He took all the Midrash Chachamim. That's the key factor. Midrash Chachamim. What do the Chachamim say about this pasuk in the Gemara? And he brought it in the parasha. So I can look at the parasha and I see Midrash Chachamim. And his sources are all there. There's no questions about sources. And what's amazing is sometimes you'll see Rashi, his opinion on the pasuk in the Torah, when his perush is on the Torah, is different than his perush of the pasuk when he brought in the Talmud. That's wild. Two different purposes. One is drasha, one is to get to the halakha. Anyway, there should be a connection between Torah Sheba'al Peh and Torah B'chtav. And once again, we go from Midrash Chachamim. Who is the first explanation before the rabbis of the Talmud? Who's the first person to explain the Torah? Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu explained it. Moshe Rabbeinu learned it and taught it, okay? But where is the first explanation? Not Rashi. Rashi's the father of the commentary, biblical commentary, but believe it or not, there were people before Rashi. You have a book for Rabbi Akiva? I'm not aware there's a book of Rabbi Akiva. Where would you find an explanation? Yonatan ben Uziel, Tana. Oh my gosh, Targum. And it's not just a Targum. See, unlike Unkulus, which is a translation, and a little bit of an explanation, but not that much. Yonatan ben Uziel goes off the reservation to explain certain Pesukim. It's amazing. Trouble is, it's in Aramaic. You have to understand Aramaic. Well, there's a wonderful book called Sarati B'Medinot that brings all of Yonatan ben Uziel, many of his what he explains it in Hebrew, and then brings commentators from Hasidic Sfarim, from Kabbalistic Sfarim, to explain what Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel was saying. Wow! So you're going to go to a modern guy before you go to Yonatan ben Uziel? You're going to go to a modern guy before you go to Rashi or Ramban? What is that? That's not the way to go. First, get to know the original material. First, you start with original pizza, and then you go for the new pizza. J2, J3, J4. First, you go J1. Yeah? Whatever.
So who's the Sarit? What'd you say?
Sarita Bamedinot. It's a rabbi in Brooklyn. Rav Henoch.
They take biblical Hebrew, then they go to Yonatan ben Uziel, then
He translates Yonatan ben Uziel from Aramaic to Hebrew. That's understandable now, correct? And then he has an explanation. Just the translation alone is great, but not enough. Then he's got an explanation on the bottom. And none of it, almost none of it, is his personal opinion. He's bringing other rabbis, and he's not quoting modern rabbis either. He's quoting generation before, 2 generations before, and I'm not criticizing modern rabbis, but you go to the modern explanations when you've already finished with the ancient ones. That's the way, that's a proper path, and it's a very simple reason why you have to do that. You read something, how do you know it's true? You see something on the internet, how do you know it's true? You could do an investigation of the author and see if the author has haskama, has all kinds of, how do you know it's true? The only way you can know what's true is you have to be well-versed in what the Chachamim say. And then you can say, is this make sense or not? If you don't have that, then how are you gonna know whether someone is saying something is accurate or not? Can't know. That's why I love it when people fact check me in the class, right? I can learn things too. Maybe I misremembered something. It happens. I feel bad when I misremember things. I'm a human being. But, generally, we check it out and we get more information. Like I mentioned something yesterday, and I, of course, checked it out for myself to see if I was correct. The name Allah does not mean God.
Where are you looking?
Just go to Wikipedia, just Google it, check it out. You look at multiple sources, you'll see. Look at the definition of Allah in pre-Muslim Arabia.
I don't have a pre-Arabic dictionary.
You don't have to have a dictionary. Just look and see what Encyclopedia Britannica says. Just be careful. They like Muslims a lot over there, okay? Obviously, when you say that, it's going to be someone can't be someone who's is on the dole, which now everybody's in dole from Qatar. So at the end of the day, you have to be careful. But if you look at it, you'll see the name Allah was a god of the Quraysh tribe.
We know that. And a part of a pantheon.
Part of a pantheon. It was the supreme god that they worshipped of all the other gods.
But it still means God. It means Ha'el.
When you are a Molech observer, let's say Chas v'Shalom, you have a guy in the time of the Torah was a Molech observer. Molech, right? Or say Baal Peor, right? Peor, that's the idol. Does that mean they don't believe in any other idols? You mean they're monotheistic regarding Peor? No. It means there's other gods as well, but the king, the head god, is Peor.
He was their Zeus.
He's their Zeus, exactly. It's still idolatry. So calling God Allah is the same thing as calling God Baal, Chas v'Shalom. Just because for the past 1,400 years, the Muslims abandoned the darkness that they had in Jahiliyyah. They abandoned that darkness, and now they've come to the monotheistic world. But the name Allah represented an idol. Doesn't mean you can't pray in a mosque as long as there are Muslims there. That's different. That's how the hell. But to say that Allah means God, no. Allah was a god of the idolaters. And that's why when Mashiach comes, they're not going to call him Allah. They're going to realize their errors. His name is not Allah. His name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's his name. Or Aleph Daled Nun Yud, or Shin Daled. I promise you in this book, Shaare Orah, that talks about the hundreds and thousands of names of God, you will never see the name Allah. And he lived in 1263. So you know what? Even though he's in Spain, he recognized he's not going to say, by the way, the Muslim, this name Allah really means God. Rabbi Gikatili is not going to say that. And there's another answer. If I want to see the names of God, where do I look? Thank you. I look in the Tanakh. I look in the Torah. If it's not there, guess what? It's not a legitimate name of God. You got it. That's why the Christians like to say, I see Jesus on every page. When I read my Bible, I see Jesus on every page, every page. First of all, they're reading it in English. And I read, a lot of the Bible. I don't see his name ever. Never. If his name was there, we'd all be in church. His name's not there. That's not the name of God. It's a false God. And worse than Allah, at least Allah, their concept now of Allah has developed to the point where they finally came to the conclusion of monotheism. Thank you so much for the Jewish influence, Baruch Hashem. But at the end of the day, we don't call that, I'm not saying you can't say the word Allah, just like you can say the word in English, God, G-O-D. Okay, but at the end of the day, this is a Hebrew class. We don't mention Allah. And they try to make all kinds of connections. It's Elaha. It's like this. Give me a break. That's all creativity.
No, hey is the
Creativity.
And Aleph Lamed is the definitive article in Arabic.
Okay.
So Ha'el is al.
Okay. Okay, very good. So that means that every single time you hear an Aleph Lamed in Hebrew, that's always a definite article?
Every time you have an Aleph Lamed.
Every time you have an
Arabic,
Aleph Lamed in Hebrew, it's a definite article?
No, in Arabic it is.
Always. Always. There's no word in the entire Arabic language. I'm not an Arabic expert.
Okay.
There's no word in the entire Arabic language that has an al in the beginning, and that al is not a definite article.
It's like it's
Thebes.
It's a preposition.
Take Thebes. The word the is a preposition. Is a definite article, right? There's a word called Thebes.
The city in Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the ps. It's Thebes.
That's a proper noun though.
Okay, so don't tell you telling me in Arabic there's no word that starts al, a-l. That's not a definite.
Could be two, like Ela, something like Ela, the house. Two preposition.
You're not answering my question. Okay.
I need my Arabic dictionary, and I don't have it with me.
Okay, I'll give you another one. Let's go to Hebrew since I don't know Arabic. Al-mana, is that a word that's in the Tanakh? Does it mean the mana?
No, because definitive article in Hebrew is hey.
Okay.
You're not gonna have that.
Okay, hold on a second. Ha-ya. 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 The definitive article. Ha-ya. Let's think of another one.
Well, Hebrew is very rich, so hey can be definite article. Hey can be a prefix.
I got news to you. It's probably now again. I'm not an Arabic, so I can't say that. I find it very hard to believe that there's no word in Arabic where the al, whatever the equivalent that in Arabic is,
Acts as a not a definitive article.
acts as a non-definitive article. So you can't bring Allah.
That is your question?
That's my question. You can't say Allah. It's definitive article. Allah. No. How do you know it's not a name? Alice. So whatever the Arabic equivalent of Alice is, it's not Al-Ice. Right. Her name is Alice.
There are words. Il male, ilu, if I would have.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so therefore, nafal kol drasha.
I don't even like it. I would just say
okay.
LL.
Well, listen, I have to shoot it down. I didn't like it either, so it's okay. All right, let's continue on. So, made my point, yes? Okay. Yes, but look it up. Fact check me. I'm okay with that. Go on Google, check it out. Okay, you have to be careful because the Britannica is not going to tell you what you want to hear because it's very sensitive to the Arabic, the Muslim opinion because they get money from Qatar. You have to be willing to look to places that are a little unconventional. Okay, but like historian, they care about history, not just care about donations. Okay. So we talked about the three breeds, right? And all the different words that mean these breeds, yeah? Continue on. Ulfi davar ze ne'emar. And because of that, al pi ha'devarim ha'ela karati itecha brit. That's a pasuk in Shemot chapter 34. We're going to read it in 3 weeks. Al pi ha'devarim ha'ela karati itecha brit. Shezohi brit Torah shebichtav v'Torah sheba'al peh. The shalosh britot elu, brit rishona, which is bina, yud kevav ke, read as Elohim, achrona, malchut, aleph daled nun yud. Brit Emsa, Shabbat El Chai. What he's doing is giving you the names of God that correspond to these three Brit. You with me? Let's do it again. We said that the first Brit is what? The Binah. What name corresponds to the Binah? What name of God corresponds to Binah? Yud Kei Vav Kei, read as Elohim. That's the name that carries Binah. Okay? The Achrona is Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That represents the Malchut. And what about the middle? Emtza, El Chai, which is the end of the Zerampin, right? El Chai, that's a Shaddai. That's what Charlie said before. Nim said, Brit Shabbat kosheret ben Adonai ben Elohim. So what is the Shabbat doing? The Shabbat is connecting between Aleph Daled Nun Yud and Binah. Let's say that in a different way. V'nahar yotzeh me'eden lashkot et hagan. What's the Nahar? Zerampin. What's the Gan? Malchut. What's Eden? Binah.
So the Nahar would be Shabbat. It's connected.
That's the connector.
Okay.
Continue on. Lo zachinu leTorah shebichtav v'lo leTorah shebe'al peh. Okay. V'il maleh brit milah, and if it's not for the brit milah, he brit Shabbat. Lo zachinu leTorah shebichtav v'lo Torah shebe'al peh. Without the brit milah, without the Shabbat, there's no brit milah, there's no Torah.
Shabbat, Brit, Torah, go.
Correct. And in order to have Torah, you have to have Brit Milah and you have to have Shabbat.
In order to have Torah, you need to have Shabbat first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was the first Shabbat of the universe, and then
Yismach Moshe b'matanat.
how'd it go?
When was that? When did Moshe Rabbeinu give them the Shabbat?
When he gave us the Shabbat.
Oh, and Horeb?
Everything's given to Chorev. When was the Shabbat given to us? Just before going to Israel? Means the entire time they were in the land of the Midbar, they didn't wear Shomer Shabbat?
Yes, they were.
Like in this part.
In Parshat B'Shalach, Sham Sam Lo Chokum Mishpat V'Sham Nisau. One of the things was given to them was the Shabbat.
Okay,
Which means what? Shabbat comes before?
Torah. Okay.
Thank you.
Before Yitro.
In Beshalach.
Chronologically. Beshalach,
And
Yitro?
why is the Shabbat necessary before the Torah? We said it yesterday. We didn't say the answer, but I gave an opinion. What is the antidote for Avodah Zarah?
Shabbat.
Thank you. They were of their Avodah Zarah. First, they have to get the Shabbat.
So coming out of the Yam Suf,
They had the Torah.
Of their Avodah Zarah. They had pockets full of idols. And they were hedging their bets. Maybe God, right now God's the big guy, but maybe the idol. I'm going to hold on to this just in case, It's
like an amulet.
exactly. So exactly. So you know what I mean? So they held on to it.
So that's when we were given the Shabbat right after we came out.
Mara.
Of Yam Suf.
Mara. By the Mara, they were given the Shabbat. Vayelechu shloshet yamim v'lo matzu mayim. They were given the Parshot Torah. What they were also given was the Shabbat.
So this past parsha.
Mm-hmm.
That Beshalach is so important. The 72 names are also there.
Correct. Good.
Real quick,
Wow,
the
so
Makoshesh
many things
Etzim.
in that Beshalach.
Mikoshesh Etzim.
Etzim comes not, that didn't happen then, that happened like now, right? Didn't that happen
Yes,
right
it
after
happened earlier.
Shabbat?
Yes.
Okay.
You get the four kusot.
Mikoshesh Etzim was one of that's what happened when they didn't do two Shabbat. In addition to the ones going out to gather, he was also Mikoshesh Etzim. Yes?
You get the four kusot for Passover from the previous parsha, from Vayera, right?
Va'era, correct, yes. Correct.
Why I still don't know why it's Rabbi Goldberg's and a few other people like that include Yitro as their favorite parsha. I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, first of all these Shmot is just an amazing sefer.
I got 3 reasons.
What's the reason?
First, we were created to observe and to serve, and the 10 Commandments are in Yitro.
Okay, good.
And the second, my daughter was born to
Ah.
Mishpat in Yitro.
Okay, there you go.
That's tonight.
Because if it was just the 10 sayings, you should also love Va'et Chanan. Va'et Chanan also has the Aseret HaDibrot, yes? Okay. So understand, in order for the person to understand the Torah, they have to have Brit Milah and Shabbat. Okay. Shehem Sod, Yud Kei Vav Kei read as Elohim, and Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Yes? The Da, and you should know, Ki Shem El Chai Hanikret Brit, the Hanikra Brit, the name El Chai that's Brit, Hu Bet Shar Likanes Lemidat Tiferet. It is the opening to enter the Tiferet. The opening to enter completely is Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Once a person goes through the Shar of Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, the next opening is the El Chai. That's what this book's about. In order to open the El Chai, that's when a person's able to get to the Tiferet. She saw Torah Shbichtav. That's the sort of Torah, the written Torah. Ha-ne'etzelet me'et ha-binah. That is emanated from the Binah. Besod hamishim yom. Why did it take 50 days for them to get the Torah? I know the Tumah and all that kind of stuff. We get that. But what's the other idea? Shaare Binah. It's 50 Sharim. K'moshe be'arnu, like we already explained. The ilu lo yikanes adam mishazeh shu brit. If the person is not coming into the brit, minayin yasiga Torah shehi lifnim lemala. How is he going to get to the Torah? No way. Nope. Okay. How could what?
The side action. They go from the side.
Exactly. All right, let's look at the bottom. Priya lo nitana. We did that already. Shehem sod havaya aleph daled nun yud. Havaya read as Elohim. Sod ze b'yah rabbeinu l'kamam b'shar hey. The rabbi explained this in Shar hey. V'zelo shano, and this is his language. V'lif amnin timtza shem havaya mitached im aleph daled nun yud b'shtei panim. Sometimes you see the name Yud Kei Vav Kei connected to Aleph Daled Nun Yud in 2 different ways. Pa'amim makdim havaya ve'achar kach Aleph Daled Nun Yud. Sometimes you have Yud Kei Vav Kei read as Elohim and then followed by Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's a pasuk in Habakkuk. And then sometimes you have Aleph Daled Nun Yud more commonly followed by Elohim. Aleph Daled Nun Yud Yud Kei Vav Kei is Elohim. Yes? The yesh l'chaladat, and you have to know. When a person mentioned these 2 names together, like Avraham Avinu, Adonai Elohim bama eda ki irashena, like Moshe Rabbeinu, Adonai Elohim ata achilota laharot et avdecha, right? When a person mentioned these 2 names together, like many of the prophets, Yechezkel, Yishaya, when they're talking about prophecies in the future, especially in the time of the Messianic age or in the resurrection, it's going to have this combination. Mishtane havaya b'kriyat nikudo v'nikra b'nikud Elohim. Yud Kei Vav Kei switches over there, and it's not read as Aleph Daled Nun Yud. It's read as Elohim. Follow?
But we don't do that because there's no prayer like that. It's only in the it's only in Nach, where we would say those words together.
There's no prayer like that? No, there's no prayer like that because our prayer is structured as brachot. Right.
But so when would we ever mention that name, that combination?
When we read the Torah, when we read the Pesukim.
Haftarah. Okay.
Not just Haftarah, the Torah also.
Oh, not backwards. Okay, fine. You said it's only.
Okay, you mean opposite. When the other way, then it's Habakkuk. That's one of the only. It means one other one. I have to look it up.
Yeah, it came out.
Mishnane Havaya b'kriyat nikudo v'nikra b'nikud Elohim. So Havaya changes and it's read as Elohim and not read as Aleph Daled Nun Yud. The Afa Pishu Katuv Havaya, even though it's written as Yud Kei Vav Kei, Nikra b'nikud Elohim. It's read as with the vowelization of Elohim. V'zeu remez lemidat bina, and this is a remez to the midah of bina. She mitachedet im midat hamalchut, when the bina and the malchut are together, when they're connected. Hanikret aleph daled nun yud. Hanikret, that's the malchut. V'ayideh mi mitachedet al yideh havaya yitbarach. What is he talking about? Al yideh mi mitachedet al yideh havaya. I don't know what he's talking about. 50 gates? I don't know. V'da ve'aven ki behazkir havaya adnut beseder hazeh, when the name Aleph Daled Nun Yud Yud Kei Vav Kei read as Elohim is mentioned in this order. Hashefa yored ala sfirot kulam mirosh ad sof milamala mata. The shefa is coming from through all the sfirot, from above to below. Ad shmagia shefa bracha ba'atzilut l'shem aleph daled nun yud, until the shefa, the bracha, comes to the name Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's kol ha'olam kulo mitbarech bracha shlema, and the entire world then is receiving a bracha that is perfect, that is complete. Ushada v'shada mekayem shlosh britot elu, when a man is fulfilling these three brit halashon, brit Torah, and brit milah. Brit halashon keneged bina. The brit halashon is vis-a-vis the bina. That's why lashon hara is such a grave sin. Why is that such a grave sin? Why is lashon hara keneged shvichut damim, avodah zara, and gilu arayot? How does it make sense? I spoke against someone that's the truth, and I embarrassed him. How is that worse than murder? How is it worse than adultery? How is that worse than idolatry? How does that work? It's not a nice thing to do to a fellow person. Is that it? That's enough to make it equivalent to those three, which yihareg ve'al yavor? What makes lashon hara so severe?
You're using binah for the wrong reason.
Because you're taking the lashon, which is the higher level, the binah. Remember, the brit milah is yesod. Yes, you're taking you're spoiling the lashon, the speech, which is a much higher level. That's why if you look in the Sfarim, what sin is likened to lashon hara? From a Kabbalistic point of view, what sin is likened to lashon hara? Shichvat zera lavatala. Because you're using the speech, what makes you into a human being, what makes you special, what makes you not an animal, in a way that is disgusting, that's inappropriate. It's the same thing as putting the Brit Milah where it doesn't belong, or spilling seed with no keli. You're spreading the words out, but not proper. That's why it's so grave. It's clear from the Sod why Lashon Hara is very grave. From the Peshat, it's a little less clear. It's not, you can understand it, but it's more of a drasha. Here it's very clear. Because you're taking the binah, which is the tongue, la brit halashon, and you're messing with the brit of the lashon.
Even if it's true.
Think about the damage in the spiritual world. If we're going to say that the brit milah is like the malchut or like the yesod, right? And you're doing damage. Where are you doing that? So you're doing damage there in the yesod. It's bad. But here you're doing damage in the binah. That's in the gimel rishonim. Much more severe. Yes.
That's what you mentioned 3 weeks ago, that they have to do the brit of the tongue.
Yes, that's what we're learning, the brit of lashon. The brit of lashon is keneged brit ma'or. What does the mouth and down there have in common? Every other one of your nekavim is two. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 1 nekev. Right? Which means out of all the different holes that we have, which is the closest to echad? Here and there. Now you understand the damage. What's that?
All the good things also.
That's the whole point. The whole point. And then the Talmud is a point to ask, why isn't it that God didn't give us two mouths? The question could be asked. You have one mouth for Kodesh and one mouth for Divrei Chol. Not Lashon Hara. There's no mouth for Lashon Hara and Avonot. So what happens, you have one mouth you can talk Torah, and another mouth you can talk business. Right? Wouldn't that be great? You save this mouth for prayer and learning, and this other mouth, this other tongue you use for speaking business. Wow, holy moly. Lavdir ben Kodesh lahol. Amazing, great. What's the problem? The last thing we need is another tongue. Because we have a hard enough time with the one to do the right thing. Now you give you two, it's double trouble. Okay. Shadam mekayem shlosh britot elu. We said that you have to have all three of these brit, right? Brit milah keneged the yesod, miached kol sfirot u'moshech hashefa milmal. That's what draws the shefa. Umeir bo or olam habina, and the or olam. What is or olam? What did we just say? Or olam, the the world, the everlasting or. That's the bina. What's that? I would say yes. And what do? You take these two brit, and you mekadesh the rest of your other 248 limbs with the Shabbat. That's what it is to be a Jew.
Oh, so Shabbat is a mitzvah you can do with your whole body?
Yes.
So in terms of the sukkah and mikvah.
Shabbat is a mitzvah you do with your whole body.
Why don't they mention that with the mikvah and sukkah? Because it didn't say
because you're not entering it. Well, it's not physical entering. The Shabbat comes in, right? And so you're enveloped with the Shabbat. So from a spiritual point of view, yes. But it's not like a sukkah where you're going into something. It's not like a mikveh, you're going into something. So the physical representation of the surrounding is not as clear. There's no question about it. Shabbat is surrounding us, yes, but it's more of a spiritual surrounding, not a physical one.
Because you cannot get out of it.
Well, you can.
With time.
Yes, what, by
By Shabbat, by violating the Shabbat, chas v'shalom. Or you go to Mars. Big problem. What does a person do if they're traveling and they go to Barrow, Alaska, where the sun doesn't set for a couple of months? Where's your Shabbat?
You do it as if you were when you left.
A frum Jew does not put themselves into that situation.
The same problems with Rav Masuzi have a crazy dress.
somebody asked that.
When you
One at a time.
In Venezuela, who's a real Sadiq. Somebody asked, how long did you live over there? The answer was, we were not designed to live there.
Nope.
We were designed to live somewhere.
We're designed to live in a place where we have a sunset and we have a sunrise. Exactly. 100%. What's
The
Hawaii, Japan, and counting the Omer.
What about it?
Like the
Because
international date line when you.
that's only when you're traveling. As long as you're in Japan the whole time, it's not a big deal. It's only when you're traveling.
Oh, going right, and you're arriving during the Omer.
Okay, let's continue. Let's go on the side. Where am I up to here? 1 second. Is nothing. He's got nothing about. Okay, enzyme. Shehem sod havaya aleph daled nun yud. Elokim and aleph daled nun yud. No, I did that already. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Kof ayin het. We have to go. We're going to go on top again. We're back in the Rabbi Yosef Kikatili and Shaare Orah. Ulafisha Brit Milah who sod El Chai. The Brit Milah is the sod of El Chai. The who sod Shabbat is the sod of the Shabbat. Kavu Razal, our rabbis established. Bibrikat Milah, El Chai Chelkenu Tzurenu. Let's check Charlie's Sidur over here.
Snip?
Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidesh yedid bibeten v'chok b'she'ero sam v'tze'etzav hatam be'ot brit kodesh al ken b'schar zo el chai chelkeinu tzurenu tzaveh la'atzil yedidot zera kodesh she'erit mishachat leman brito asher sam b'bsarenu Baruch atah Adonai koret habrit.
Is this what the Mahal says? I trust you.
Whoever the
Or the
whoever,
You
Or the son.
856.
This is what the father said.
Someone says it.
Okay. So now
That's the last
can't go-
bracha.
I can go back. I was
That's right before you name the child. So now a person who understands what we're learning in this book understands why is it mentioning El Chai Chelkenu? Because it's the Brit Milah, which corresponds to El Chai. Yes? How do you understand the Peshat of the Tefillah if you don't understand the Sod? You don't.
That's in the Pidyon Laben?
856, Brit Milah.
That's your sitter.
Oh, the Brit Bin, but that's okay.
But that's your sitter?
Yeah, a gift from my friend. So continue on. Tzaveh la'atzil yedidot zera kodesh she'erit mishachat. Oh my God, this is a mistake here.
She'erit mishachat?
Yeah.
That's the second mistake you found.
Yeah. She'erenu mashachta. That's what it says here. It's not mashachta unless his nosach is different. Now I'm going to get my pen. I got it. She'erenu mishachat, it says here. And here he says mashachta.
Oh, mishachat from hell. And mishachat, mashachat.
Mishachat. Right. Mishachat. Okay.
Because you're pulled down.
Leman brito asher sam b'vsarenu. That's the bracha. Leman brito asher sam b'vsarenu. Baruch atah Adonai koret habrit. Halot tireh ki shem el chai kavu b'birkat brit milah. So we see that the rabbis established the name of El Chai in the Brit Milah, the bracha. Al zeh ne'emar atem advekim ba'Adonai Elohechem haim kulechem hayom. And this is what it says: when you connect to God, you're alive. Which means, why is it haim kulechem hayom? El Chai, you connect to Chai. Okay, when you attach to God. How do you attach to God? Brit Milah. Okay, let's go to the bottom. Tziva lehatzil yedidot zera kodesh. What does that mean? He commanded us to save individuals zera kodesh, holy seed. Aideh mitzvat milah zocher kol ish Yisraeliyot kashur bo yitbarach shelo ye'aved. Wow. Through the Brit Milah, that is how a Jewish boy, a man, is attached to God, that he should not be lost. Lost. Dieter Herzl, what happened to his kids?
They intermarried.
No Brit. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's
So
right.
lost in the generation.
First, they had no Brit Milah. Their father refused to do Brit Milah on his children. Yeah, didn't do it. And they married Goyot. And now there are no living descendants that are Jewish from Theodor Herzl, the father on modern Zionism. There you go. That tells you the destiny of modern Zionism.
Ancient Zionism.
Ancient Zionism, we're all ancient Zionists, I hope, yes? Yeshayahu was an ancient Zionist. Yirmiyahu was an ancient Zionist. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi was an ancient Zionist. Okay, we're all ancient Zionists. The modern Zionist is the problem, not the ancient ones.
Ben Gurion.
I'm a Zionist.
Okay, no. There's a big difference between modern Zionist and ancient Zionist. Okay, what's the difference? Ancient Zionists recognize that our claim to the land of Israel is contained within the Bible. Oh, no. They believe it's contained because every nation's entitled to have their own place. It could be Uganda. It could be in Israel. Theodor Herzl. Complete disconnect from the Torah. Jewish people disconnect from the Torah. It's called off the reservation.
Making jokes to us.
Unfortunately, it's not funny. So he has no living descendants because he didn't do Brit Milah on his children. So as the rabbis say here, the Brit Milah, the mitzvah of the Brit Milah, that allows Ish Yisrael, a man, a Jewish man, to be connected to God, that he should not be lost. Even though there's still a concept of karet in the 9 lower aspects of the nefesh, in the highest level, soda keter, shesham hi mechuberet ba'ateret hayesod, that she's connected to the ateret of the yesod, bechinat haruach en karet. So that means even though there are these 10 levels of karet, and a person can have 9 of those levels, as long as he has Brit Milah, the highest level, he's still connected.
As long as he's got.
That's right. Vihi nekudata emunah. And this is the emunah. Haninset belev kol Yehudi, that's found in the heart of every Jew. Kamo shebi'er b'pitrei sha'arim, nekudot petach yud zayin. Like explained in the Pitrei Sha'arim. Even though with the Ateret, the crown of the Yesod, there's a little bit of grabbing from the Sitra Achra from the other side. Mikol makom huchan sham shmira gedola v'hagana lenegdam. Also prepared there is a tremendous protection, shmira and hagana, defense against them. Shiha nekuda nisheret tamid. That is what's always there. Who saw the emunah? That's the emunah, the faith. Hanishar kayam bichlal Yisrael, that is found amongst the Jewish people. That's what I said yesterday. What did I say yesterday? Why did the Jews die in the Choshech?
They didn't believe that they were being redeemed. Right?
Why?
They lost their emunah in that Hashem was going to save them. They were idolaters. That's if idolaters would have been killed in the Choshech, there wouldn't have been too many Jews left.
Okay, so you were saying.
What was I saying? That they lost the emunah in what? Datana Aviram, even Datana Aviram had emunah that Yud Kei Vav Kei was going to take them out of Egypt. Therefore, they get to come out of Egypt.
They had ulterior motives later.
Or whatever the reasons are. Emunah is the key. Emunah, the tikvah. That is the key.
The real Hatikvah.
Yes. Hatikvah noshana. Lashuv le'eretz avotenu. That's the tikvah. And that's why modern Zionism has no future. No future. Because if it's this, Baruch Hashem, they're modern Zionists there, they're completely connected to the Torah. They have a future. Because even they call it modern Zionism, they're really practicing ancient Zionism. Okay? But modern Zionism has no future. This shul is, even though it's called a modern Zionist shul, no, they're practicing ancient Zionism, which is Torah and Eretz Yisrael together. That's ancient Zionism. Modern Zionism is minus the Torah. Zionism has no future. Modern Zionism, the way it was initially designed. Right? The emunah nishar kayam b'klal Yisrael she'adei omdim lihyot nitkanim, which means they're preparing for themselves to be corrected, which means the person is making mistakes, but he knows Mashiach's going to come and he's going to get corrected. Everything's going to be fixed. That's the emunah. She'emunah kolel kol mitzvot, that includes all the mitzvot. Ba Habakuk, and then Habakuk came v'he'midam alachat. And Habakkuk established all the mitzvot in one way. How did he do that? What is Habakkuk? He made a statement. The Christians messed this up so bad. What was Habakkuk's statement? Tzaddik be'emunato yihyeh. What does and why tzaddik? Brit Milah. Tzaddik be'emunato yihyeh. Tzaddik, because he has his emunah, will live, meaning will survive the exile. No tzaddik, no Brit Milah, no emunah, no surviving the exile. That's what we talked about when you stepped outside. Correct, 100%. Tzaddik be'emunotu yechyeh. There's a name in Hebrew that the Ashkenazim give their children. It's called tzvi. What is tzvi? It means a
Means deer in German.
deer. But what is it tzvi? Tzaddik be'emunato yechyeh. It's an acrostic for, it's called, land of Israel is called, also called Eretz
Tzvi.
HaTzvi.
That's for a different reason.
For a different reason.
Maybe there's two reasons. One, it expands
Multiple
the
reasons.
contracts because deer skin expands the contracts.
Multiple reasons. And the other one is because why?
Tzaddik be'emanato yichyeh
Eretz
in the
is-
Zionism. In the
You
Zionism.
said
In ancient Zionism, yes.
Tzaddik.
Be'emunato yichyeh. That's Habakkuk.
He's from the Zohar.
No, Habakkuk is in the Tanakh.
He was a late prophet.
Who's his mother?
Be'emunato.
Who's his mother?
You said Tzaddik be'emunato.
Batsheva.
Tzaddik be'emunato yichyeh. I'll ask it a different way. Who's his father?
Shlomo. I thought Shlomo.
Who's Habakkuk's father?
I have no idea.
One of the kings?
What kings? He lived 100 years ago.
No, Habakkuk we're talking about.
So,
Prophet Habakkuk. Now we're on Habakkuk, Lavdil. Who was his father?
Yirmiyahu.
No. Ben Sirah was Yirmiyah's. Yirmiyah was his father. Ben Sirah.
Bezerah was Yirmiyahu's father?
No, Yirmiyah was Ben Sirah's father. Why is he called Ben Sirah? What is a Sirah?
Oh, Sirah. A boat. Sirah, a boat.
Sirah is a bathtub. You
Ambatia
could
is
tell
a
me
bathtub.
boat. You could
Okay,
tell me
wait.
boat. Okay.
No. Wait, in ancient Hebrew?
Seer is a
Is a pot.
bathtub.
Uh-oh.
Why was it called Ben Sirah? Samach Yod Reish Aleph. Maybe it's in Aramaic. Why is it called Ben Sirah?
I'm bringing up my dictionary.
Because the Talmud talks about Yirmiyah was in a bathtub and he had a seminal emission accidentally, not purposely, right? And a woman came in to bathe afterwards and she became pregnant. And that child was called Ben Sirah,
No kidding.
son of the bathtub. That's why men and women do not go. That's why men and women do not use the same mikveh. There's a separate men's mikveh, separate women's mikveh. And even though from a medical point of view, that is almost stretching on the possibilities of impossibility. I mean, is it possible? It's possible. It's extremely unlikely. Okay.
Remote.
That's why he was called Ben Sirah. Yirmiyah was his father. But that's not what we're talking about. Who's the father of Habakkuk? Ovadiah is the father of Habakkuk. And what did Ovadiah do? First, he was a convert from Edom. He was a Gentile convert from Edom, and he became a prophet. Okay, and what is he? He has one chapter. And what does he prophesy against? What's his prophecy against? Edom. His prophecy is against where he came from. What's going to happen to Edom in the future? Yes,
I love
that's
that song.
Habakkuk. Okay, so now Obadiah. No, that's Obadiah. Now Obadiah, what did he do? He lived in the time of Izebel, and Izebel was basically killing all the prophets. So Habakkuk. So Obadiah basically he hid them and he supported them and he borrowed money to support them. And then what happened? He died. And unlike in America, where, we're not responsible for our debts, that's not how it works in the Torah. So the debt collectors came to his wife to collect money. Why? Because Habakkuk borrowed all this money, and Habakkuk, Obadiah borrowed all this money, and she couldn't pay it. So who rescued her? Elisha. What did Elisha do?
The oil.
Oil. That's the daughter. That's her, and her son is Habakkuk. Because what did Elisha say? At hoveket ben. What is hoveket? Habakkuk. That's why his name is Habakkuk. At hoveket ben. Right? He told her you're going to have a son. Hoveket ben. That's Habakkuk.
So one of the two sons of that lady That was
The one that had the headache and said Roshi, Roshi, it was about that was Habakkuk.
Wow, no kidding.
Wait, at least you did that whole thing with the breathing into his mouth. That was
Yes.
That's Habakkuk.
Okay.
That was Habakkuk. Now, so what did Habakkuk say? Tzaddik be'emunato yichyeh. That's Habakkuk. I mean, he said many things, other things too, but that's his key statement they're referring to here. Okay? The language used, this is what the Talmud says, language, he'emidam, al achat. He brought everything together into one. What's the one? Tzaddik be'emunato yichyeh. So that means surviving is emunah. No emunah, no survival. Yichyeh. He lives by the emunah, because if he has emunah, he lives. No emunah doesn't live. Tzaddik, with his emunah, he lives. Which means, how's the tzaddik live his life? With his emunah. Be'emunah, in his emunah. Which means whatever happens to him in life, he has a difficulty, he has troubles. Emunato. Unfortunately, that's what we need to work on much more in this generation. Emunato. Yichyeh. Brit Milah, emunah. That's the survival. And this is, boy, how does the tzaddik acquire his emunah? Through his Brit Milah. And that's why the Zohar says, as soon as a baby is circumcised, nikra tzaddik. A baby, 8-year-old baby, or a baby boy, 8-year-old boy, once he gets circumcision, it's called nikra tzaddik.
But can a baby make a kinyan?
Nikra tzaddik. Why? Because he has Brit Milah. And now he has Brit Milah, and now he has emunah. And this is what was Avraham? Avraham Avinu was Isha Emunah. She'al yada karat imo brit ulzaro acharav liot lo le'elohim. That through the Brit Milah, Hashem established for Avraham and all of his descendants that Hashem's going to be the God. The brit shelo yufar le'olam, and this is a brit that will never be canceled forever. That doesn't mean individual people don't cancel the brit and then they fall off the reservation, or off the bus, off the train.
Well, what breed is ever canceled? No breeds were canceled. Breed Shabbat is canceled.
A person speaks Lashon Hara, he's canceling his Brit Ma'or, his Brit Lashon. You're not supposed to be using it for improper things.
You can cancel it.
Shebazeh nikshu Yisrael b'sitrak dugsha. And through the Brit Milah, this is how the Jewish people are attached to the holy side. Massive, massive, massive.
How are we going to simulate that?
How are we going to what?
Learn all this.
Thank God it's recorded so you can listen to it again. Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Thank you for your questions.
It was very good. Veda. Now we're back on top of the book. Rabbi Gikatilia. Ki Brit Milahu Sod Shabbat. Besod Milah Ufri'ah. Besod Zachor et Yom HaShabbat v'Shamor. Zachor is the Zachar. Shamor is the feminine. Zachor layom, Shamor v'lalayla. The Zachor is for the day and the Shamor is for the night. Keneged El Chai Aleph Daled Nun Yud, vis-a-vis El Chai Aleph Daled Nun Yud. El Chai being the masculine, Aleph Daled Nun Yud being the feminine. Shebrit Milah kolelat Brit, Shtei Sfirot Halalu. The Brit Milah includes both of these Sfirot, because you have the Milah and you have the Priya. Amara Katuv. Imlo Briti Yomam Balayla Chukot Shamayim Va'aretz Lo Samti. Yirmiyahu chapter 33, verse number 25. Vesod Chukot Hem El Chai Aleph Daled Nun Yud. What is Chukot? Laws or things that are established.
That we don't understand.
Okay, well, that's what we learn in this book, so we can understand it. And the chukot is El Chai and Aleph Daled Nun Yud. The Sod Chok v'Chukah. We have Chok and we have Chukah. Zot Chukat Torah, and then we have Chok u'Mishpat. So we have the concept of Chok, and we have the concept of Chukah. Chok is masculine, Chukah feminine. The Siman et Chukotai Tishmoru. The Sod Chukotai hem El Chai and Aleph Daled Nun Yud. It's always Chukotai, plural. The Dak Yabrit Hanikra Yomam Balayla, the Brit that's called day and night. Who sod Milah Friya. This is the sod of Milah and Priya. Zachor v'Shamor, masculine, feminine. Zachor and Shamor. El Chai Aleph Daled Nun Yud. Torah shebirtav, Torah shebe'al peh. Shehem sod chukot shamayim va'aretz. That's the sod of chukot shamayim va'aretz. Ha'azinu ha'shamayim va'adaber tishma aretz emrefi. Now we understand exactly why Moshe Rabbeinu is me'id the shamayim and the aretz. V'zeh keneged zeh. This is vis-a-vis this. V'zeh sod u'b'torato yegeh yomam v'layla. In his Torah you will study, you will review day and night. Yomam hu Torah shebichtav. Yomam is the Torah shebichtav, the written Torah. The Sod El Chai, the Sod Zachor, the Sod Milah. That's the Torah shebichtav. El Chai, Zachor, Milah. That's all masculine. The Laila is Sod Torah shebal peh. And Laila is Torah shebal peh. Sod Aleph Daled Nun Yud. Sod Shamor. Sod Priya. That's the feminine. Ulfichach en Torah, Torah Misra Elisha Kibel Brit Milah. Therefore, the Torah cannot be given to a person that doesn't have Priya. Why? If he doesn't have Priya, he will not be able to have Torah Shebal Peh. No Torah Shebal Peh, no Torah Shebirtav.
They go part and parcel.
They're together. When we talk Brit Basar, Yikanes Adam the Brit HaLashon. And when a person has a proper Brit Basar, he can have the Brit of the Lashon. Shu Kriyat Torah, which is reading the Torah. That's why people. What is that?
They're probably,
What's that?
they're probably testing it. So a baby speaks after.
May I have your attention, please?
after the music.
May I have your attention, please? The signal you have just heard indicates a report of a fire in this building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
Like I've never had a drill.
I'm going to say that go anyway. You smell smoke? You smell smoke? If you're comfortable, I'm sticking around. As long as I'm not smelling smoke.
That one stop.
As,
May I have your
huh?
attention, please? May I have your attention?
What's that?
The signal you have
Oh, it's a
just
mistake?
heard indicates a report of a fire in this building.
They're probably testing.
Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
I don't know.
Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
Boy, oh boy. What a way to have classes interrupt us. Ay, ay, ay.
May I have your attention, please?
All right, let me pause it. I'm going to pause this. We'll come back if the noise stops.
Indicates a report of a fire in this building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
Take it off.
Are they fixing it?
He's there. He's trying to take it off.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The signal you have just heard indicates a report of a fire in this building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
They're gonna come turn it off in a minute.
What's that?
They're gonna turn it off in a
Can I have
minute.
your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? All Hasidim report to the main show for a minion.
Wait, Hasidim, it's a little early.
How do you get on the field?
What's that? Shaare doing it, Frank? Get out of here. No?
Yes.
It can't. Oh, that's before
On
Chatzot.
Friday, they got one at 11. Then a lot of people came at 12 and they got another one. What the
May I have your attention, please? May I have
It's
your
before Chatzot.
You're not
The signal you
recording
have
this.
just heard indicates a report of a fire in this building. Please proceed to the
Chatzot
nearest
is
exit
12:33,
and leave the
so
building.
they can still pray
Do not
Shacharit.
re-enter the building
I know you
unless
want to
directed
push
to
it
do
until
so by the
12:33.
proper authorities.
I mean,
No, at 1 o'clock. You know, we want to stop here? We can stop here if you have to. Want to stop here?
you got a car?
No.
So I have to stay. I'm forced to stay
May I
because
have
of
your
you.
attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
I walk.
The signal you have just
Dos,
heard
tres,
indicates a report of a
cuatro.
fire in this building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building. Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
Sí, pero para mí es 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 y 9. Así lo me recuerdo yo. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 y 9. Pues no me recordaba cuál era el 9.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The signal you have just
Choshech.
heard indicates a
What
report
is
of a
Choshech?
fire in this
What's that?
building.
Night.
Please
Dark.
proceed
Choshech
to
is
the
darkness.
exit and leave the building. Do not re-enter the building unless directed to do so by the proper authorities.
You said that Rabbi Cook was the son of Rabbi Obadiah.
May I have your attention, please?
Habakkuk was the son of Obadiah.
The signal you have just heard indicates a report.
How you say? Cook.
That's Rabbi.
Habakkuk.
Yeah, Chab.
Habakkuk.
Chaba.
Bet.
Habakkuk in English. Habakkuk. Habakkuk.
No wonder I got it all mixed up. Not you. I'm dyslexic.
No problem.
And
Habakkuk.
I don't have any problems. I have lived 75 years.
I think it's
already,
over.
and I'm doing well.
I think it's over. Is it over?
Yes, he just turned it off. That's what he went there for.
All right.
What's his name? Kevin.
Let's return. Okay, we'll resume the class. The drama is finished. It was an error. Okay, let's continue on. Chok v'huka. We discussed that before. No, I'm sorry. We got to go back a little bit.
First time in 23 years, 29 years been here.
Never heard of it.
Milah upriya besod zachor et yom HaShabbat v'shamor. So milah and priya is the secret of zachor and shamor of Shabbat. Yes? B'brit milah say yichud shamayim va'aretz. In the brit milah, a person has yichud of the shamayim and the aretz. Shem keneged zachar nekeva. Milah b'yisod zachor upriya b'malchut. Milah is the yisod of zachor or zachur, and priya is the malchut. Yes? Kedita bazoar, like explain the Zohar in Parashat Breshit. Daf Lamed Bet. Tanenan, it was taught. Mal velo para et hamilah ki'ilu lo mal. A person who had circumcision but did not do the what you call it, the priya, ki'ilu lo mal. It's as if he didn't have brit milah. Begin the tren dargin inun milah priya. The Zohar says because there are two levels. One is the priya, one is the milah, one is the priya. Zachor v'shamor. You have to have zachor and you have to have shamor. Tzadik v'tzedek. Tzadik is the person. Tzedek is what he does. Dachar v'nukvas, male and female, which means everything we just discussed is a world, right? Zachar nekeva. Tzadik tzedek. Zachor shamor. Milah priya. Right? V'itzrich lechabra lon. And you have to connect them together. Ubama mehaber lon, and how do you connect them together? Kadiu gezir priya, by cutting and by exposing. Uman de gazir vela priya, a person who cut and didn't do the exposing. Kilo avdo benau pruda. It's as if he caused a pirud between the zachar and nekeva.
And that's not good.
No. NG complete. All right, that's that one. Next, Kof Peg. Chok v'chuka. We have chok in masculine and chukah in feminine. Katav harakanati. I love the rakanati. Parashat Lech Lecha. V'da ki hayasod nikra chok. Yesod is called chok. Al ken anu omrim b'berkat hamilah. V'chok b'she'ero sam. Here it is. The chok b'she'ero sam. Since it's masculine, we use the word chok. Omnam chukat remez leknesset Yisrael. Chukat is a remez to Knesset Yisrael. What is Knesset Yisrael? Feminine. What's that? V'nikru kach ki chok lashon gevul v'geder. Chok is the language of a border and a fence. Chok natan v'lo ya'avor. A rule, chok was given, and you cannot transgress. Uba'avur ki saviv hachok ve'achukah kama sirbanim uslonim hamkatrigim, and because surrounding the chok and the chukah, there are various in the forces that want to prevent there from being that connection. Ki'inyan kol goyim sivavuni. What is the job of the Gentiles right now? To prevent the zachar and nekeva from coming together.
So they're helping cause the Piru.
Who's the zachar? Kuchabrichu, ushchinte, right? So prevent the job of the Gentiles right now is to prevent there from being the unification. That's why they represent the other side. Kol goyim sivavuni. All the goyim are around me, and their purpose is to what? To prevent there from being yichud. Kmozot Yerushalayim betocha goyim shtamtia, and that's why Yerushalayim is surrounded by goyim. Why? Same idea. Yerushalayim. What does Yerushalayim represent? What's the focal point of Jerusalem?
Mount Moriah.
And what's the focal point of Mount Moriah? Even Hashtiya. What is Even? Female. Vayiven. Even. That's feminine.
Okay, we know. All right.
Misham hushtat ha'olam. From there, the world receives sustenance. And that Even is connected to the Shamayim. Yes? That's called the Yichud. It's as obvious as the day is long. That Even is now in the hands of the Waqf. Yeah. Kol goyim sevavuni. You see that? There we go. All right, then hold on, because we'll finish the statement here. Let's finish what's over here, then we'll answer the question. Kmo zot Yerushalayim betoch hagoyim samtia, ken nikreim kach. Umitzvot elu nichshal umitzvot elu nichshalim harisha'im she'enam motzim tam lemitzvot. Shem chukim hazakim ve'enam yodim ha'ikarim ha'gdolim ha'tulim b'hem. Wow. And that's the mistake people make when they don't try to find reasons for the chukim. There are reasons, but the reasons are hidden. They require exploration. Ayen kaman habir inyan chok ve'kukan. And he's going to explain some more. Okay, what's your question?
Someone was telling me how Siberian Jews don't consider converts Jews.
Siberian? Syrian?
Syrians.
No, I thought it was Siberian.
No, the Syrians.
Syrian Jews?
Yeah.
They don't consider them Jewish. They just don't.
They consider them Jewish. They just don't. Oh, they don't accept them into the. They don't accept them in the congregation. They don't accept them in the kehillah. That's to avoid intermarriage. It's against the Torah. That's completely wrong. Vis-a-vis their community, they're not considered to be. They're not accepted. They're Jews. They can still pray in the shul, but they don't get aliyah. They don't count as a minyan. They're not considered to be part of the community.
They don't get an aliyah.
No.
They can donate to the shul, and they can pray there.
Oh, come on, donate to the shul. Everybody takes donations.
But it just seems. Okay.
Okay. Next. Yomam balayla, day and night. Hayom hu keneged hatiferet shu me'ir mashpia. The yom is vis-a-vis the tiferet, which is mashpia. Yes? Me'ir and mashpia. Shine and influence. The Laila Keneged the Malchut, and the Laila is vis-a-vis the Malchut. Why is it vis-a-vis the Malchut? Dalava Aniyah, no light, no shine. That's the night. Emptiness. Kedita bezoar, like explained in the Zohar. Memshela tayom dechura memshela talala nukva. The memshela tayom, because initially the two me'orot were equal, right? And one is memshela tayom, one is memshela talayla. Just like the zachar gives influence and abundance to the feminine, and she has nothing on her own. Everything she has, she receives from the masculine. Just like in our world, you have the shemesh, which shines in the day, and then you have the yareach, which shines at night. But all of the light the yareach is receiving is coming from the sun. Shu mashal midat malchut. That's the mashal is the malchut. That's the yareach. Hamekabelat et Orah shemesh, that receives the Orah of the shemesh. V'hu keneged Torah shbichtav, and that's vis-a-vis the Torah shbichtav. She has shoresh lo Torah shebal peh. That's a shoresh of Torah shebal peh. If there's no Torah shbichtav, there's no Torah shebal peh. B'Torah shbichtav hakol galui meir ba'alei amel. In the Torah, written Torah, everything is revealed and doesn't require any depth. I mean, there's a lot of depth there, but there's this pshat, there's a simple meaning, and that simple meaning is there. Masha'en ken b'Torah shebal peh. What's not the case in Torah shebal peh? Tzarich yigi'ah gedolah, requires a tremendous amount of toil. Kedita bazoar, like explained in the Zohar. Kabed tavicha da Torah shbichtav. Honor your father. This is Torah shbichtav. That imecha da Torah shebal peh, and imecha, your mother, is Torah shebal peh. Shma b'ni musar avicha al titosh Torah imecha. Now we understand what that means. Musar avicha is Torah shbichtav. Titosh Torah imecha. That's Torah shebal peh. K'mot de'aba yehiv shefa le'imah, just like the father gives shefa to the mother. Hachanami Torah shbichtav yehiv shefa la Torah shebal peh. The Torah shbichtav gives shefa in abundance to the Torah shebal peh. Torah shbichtav gives shefa and abundance. Torah shebal peh.
But the Torah shebal explains Torah shbichtav. So
But again, everything.
Really comes from Torah shbichtav.
Oh, okay, person studying Minahanamile. Where do we learn this from? Right, everything. All the sources coming from the Torah. There's no the chidushim of the Talmud. Everything is based on the Torah shbichtav. Yes.
I don't understand why the Torah needs to get shefa. That's what you said.
The Torah is the shefa, but it's giving the example of the male and female. The male is the written Torah, the female is the oral Torah. And the oral Torah, she's shefa from the written Torah.
No, receiving
Anytime. Anytime, just like the light, the night and day. Same idea. The night receives light from the moon, which is really coming from the sun. Exactly. Now, let's talk about, I want to finish with this. Kriyata Torah. This is something that is very, very important. Kriyata Torah. People blow it off, Shnai Mikra v'Achad Tagum, not so important, people, no, we have also a mitzvah to read the Torah, to read from the Torah, to read the Torah. Let's see what it says here. Torah shebal peh, he keneged brit basar yesod malchut. The oral Torah is vis-a-vis the brit basar yesod malchut. Yes? The Torah shbichtav hu gilui hamachshava hastuma. The Torah shbichtav, the written Torah, is the revelation of the hidden wisdom. Al-yedei kriya ba b'dibur lashon, through the tongue. How do you read the Torah? With your mouth. You pronounce it. You have to say it. You have to sing it. We understand the brit of the lashon is the revelation. The lashon, the tongue, allows the revealing of the wisdom and the understanding of the person inside their head. Torah, when a person is reading from Sefer Torah, megale b'fiv, he reveals in his mouth et ma shemirumaz be'otiotea v'tagea, what's written or what's hinted with its letters and its signs. Like the Gaon of Vilna wrote in the beginning of the Sefer Desnuta, Sefer hu gilui machshava. Sefer is a revelation of the thought. Exactly. Shemachshava hi satum ba'adam. The thoughts are hidden in the person. Ve'eno mitgale ela al yedei diburo o ketuvo. What's going on in the person's mind can only be revealed from what he speaks or from what he writes. V'chen en sof hitgale ubarat olam al yedei agam ken al yedei shtei dvarim elu. And similarly, the Ein Sof created the world with these two items as well. Kamo shekatav b'sefer Yetzirah, like it's written in Sefer Yetzirah, ubarat olamo b'sefer v'tzipur.
Sapiron.
V'inyane bet sfarim v'tzipur, and these two sfarim, hu ki b'dibur v'pam ahat nitgale machshavato. That through the dibur, this is what revealed the thoughts of the machshava of Hashem. That's why it says b'asara ma'amarot nivra ha'olam. It's the dibur kavyachol of Hashem that created the world. Aval b'sefer b'bet pamim. And with sefer with 2 times. Echad keshikotev v'nitgale machshavto ba'olam, aval adayin satum ha'sefer. When he writes it in the book, but it's still hidden. V'sheni keshikorim ha'sefer az nitgale, which means just because you wrote it doesn't mean it's revealed. In order to reveal, someone has to read it and say it. Yes? Aval b'dibur kolel shnehem, but dibur has both qualities. Dibur is sort of writing and it's also speaking at the same time. It's revealing it with one aspect. Vehem chokhmah bina and dat. This is chokhmah bina and dat. Ve'abiur b'dibur hu poneh el zulato. When a person speaks, what does he do? Unless he's mejnun, what do? When you speak to somebody else. Speaking to another individual or God, right? And then his thoughts are revealed through his speech. But that's not the case when a person is writing. It's in the book. It's hidden. It's until the person opens up the book. It's hidden. It's satum. It's hidden in the Aron. When his thoughts are put down in the book. But now that he wrote it, since Rambam, we would love to be able to hear what he has to say, but unfortunately the Rambam has been dead for 1,000 years. So how do we hear what the Rambam has to say? We read the words he wrote in his book. Nowadays we have something called YouTube, where you can actually hear
what he sounded like.
What he sounded
AI
like.
and different things. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
And animate him with the turban. Yeah.
I'm giving a class right now. Someone can listen to this 2 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. No. In the olden days, there's only 2 ways. One was through speech, and the other one was through writing. Now you have another way. It's speech that's recorded and then kept for posterity.
Speech before, you have to be present.
Right. Now you can be asynchronous. Rak shemigalet machshavto b'sefer, but his machshava is revealed in the book. But then someone else has to open up the book and read it. HaChokhmah v'Bina hem sfarim. The Chokhmah and the Bina are sfarim. She'achokhmah hi situmah. The Chokhmah is hidden. V'hi machshava keneged ha'ktiva shelo nitgale adayin l'zulato. So the Chokhmah is like the writing that is hidden, which means it's written, but until a person opens it up, it's hidden.
Opens up their mouth or opens up the book.
Right. Ela shikvar yesh efsharut likro likbonim hasefer. But through it being written, now there's a possibility that a person can actually read and to learn it. The binah hi hitbonenut b'darchei chokhmah, and the binah is consideration, contemplation in the ways of chokhmah. The giluya chokhmah, the revelation of the chokhmah, kedugmata kriya b'sefer, like kriya b'sefer, like reading from Sefer Torah. And the dat is like the dibur that has influence on the other person that's in the process of listening. Okay, I think we're going to stop here. Yes? Baruch Adonai Amen ve'amen.
Amen. Wow, too much.